The story begins as a boy named Hiro meets God after he passes away, but he's offered a second chance at life. The God admits that he made a mistake, which caused Hiro to live a life filled with sickness and betrayal, and he asks Hiro if he has any requests. So he asks to try farming, because when he was in the hospital, he watched a show about an idol's farming experience. The god gets permission from the goddess of agriculture, and he gives Hiro an omnipotent farming tool before sending him to his new life. As Hiro wakes up in the new world, he's excited to finally have a healthy body, but he notices he's alone in a forest. He recalls that he asked to be away from civilization, but he thinks he's so far that no one will come there, and he realizes he doesn't have anything with him. He remembers the omnipotent farming tool that he was given, so he takes it out, and it turns out to be a hoe. He gets to work, and realizes he doesn't get tired no matter how much he swings the hoe, and it even plows through the ground like it's nothing. He starts to explore the forest, because he needs water and food, but he doesn't find anything. He knows he might run into a monster, so he decides to make a base around a huge tree, which he thinks will make a good landmark. He plans to dig a well since he can't find any water, so he takes out his omnipotent tool, and realizes it can take the form of any tool he wants. He starts to dig, and manages to find water on his first try, so he thinks he got lucky. He decides to look for food next, but notices he doesn't feel hungry, and thinks it's because of his omnipotent tool. He starts to build his base, as he looks for something he can eat, but he doesn't find anything, and he comes across a tree, which will get in the way when he starts to cultivate his field. He turns his farming tool into an axe, and comes up with a plan on how he should cut the tree, but as he takes a swing, his axe instantly slices through it. He runs as it crashes to the ground, and we see that it almost fell on him, but he's glad that he was able to bring it down in a single swing. He uses a hatchet to process the wood, and manages to make timber, but he realizes the sun is about to go down, and he can't turn his tool into a flashlight or a lamp. He decides to start a fire, but his tool won't turn into a match or a lighter, so he transforms it into a magnifying glass instead, but he realizes that the sun is already gone. He makes a hole in the trunk of a tree, and decides to stay there for the night, but he's surprised by how well he can see, and thinks it's because there are 2 moons in the sky. The next day, Hiro starts a fire early to make sure he doesn't forget it again, and he continues to clear the area for his field. He starts to feel hungry, and a giant rabbit suddenly attacks him, but he easily defeats it. He cooks it over his campfire, and realizes it doesn't taste good, but he's glad that he at least found something to eat. He makes a toilet, but he doesn't feel comfortable using it in the open, so he builds walls around it. After that, Hiro makes a field, and wonders what he should grow there, but he realizes he doesn't have any seeds. As he wakes up the next day, he's surprised to see plants growing from the field, even though he didn't plant anything, and he realizes it's because of the omnipotent farming tool. He decides to build a fence next, and he digs a trench around the field to protect it from monsters, as he hunts rabbits for food. He hopes that the plants growing in his fields turn out to be edible, because he would be disappointed if they were just flowers. He builds a hut as well, because he's tired of living in the tree trunk, and one day, he notices 2 injured dogs outside his fence, so he invites them in and feeds them some meat. He recalls that when he was a kid, he always wanted to have a dog, so he wouldn't mind if they stayed with him. He notices that one of them is pregnant, and she goes into labor, so he takes them to his hut. He wonders what he can do to help them, but he decides to just leave them there and goes to the trunk, because he thinks a human shouldn't be with them during such an important moment. The next day, Hiro returns to the hut, and he's glad to see that everything went smoothly, so he gives the parents boar meat to celebrate. After that, the dogs stay with him, and he builds a new house, since he doesn't want to kick them out of the hut where they're staying. The crops are finally ready to harvest, so he picks out the tomatoes, while the dogs hunt and patrol the area, but he's surprised that they also eat vegetables. He names the female dog Yuki, and the male one Kuro, and he knows he needs to make a storehouse for the vegetables, but he isn't worried, since he plans to take things nice and slow. God checks up on Hiro, and sees that he made another mistake by sending him to a forest filled with dangerous monsters, so he tries to call him back. But he recalls that he can't interfere when a person's life has already started, so he plans to apologize to Hiro when his soul returns. Meanwhile, Hiro has harvested a lot of vegetables, and he realized that thanks to the farming tool, he can grow any vegetable he likes as long as he thinks about it while plowing the field. The plants also grow at an incredible speed, and he notices that the potatoes have turned green from where the sun has hit them, so he thinks he should make a mound of dirt near the base of the plants. He built statues of the gods because they're the reason he has a new life, and he's also planted fruit trees, but he knows they take years to grow, so he needs to be patient. As he eats lunch, he thinks he has started to spoil the dogs, but he doesn't mind it as long as they're happy. He plays with them, and he's glad he isn't lonely in this world, because he doesn't know how long he would survive without any companions. He manages to find a river, and thinks he couldn't have done it without his dogs, since they helped him explore the forest without getting lost. He plans to dig a path for the water to reach his base, and he makes a toilet near the river, since he knows he will need to work there for a while. He continues to expand his field, and he grows all kinds of crops, but he wishes he had salt to add flavor to his food. It starts to get cold in the forest, and since his clothes aren't good enough to survive the winter, he plans to start a bonfire and just stay in his hut. A spider settles on top of the huge tree, and it uses its web to make a handkerchief, which amazes Hiro. He names the spider Zabu, and she continues to make all kinds of things for him, including warm clothes and curtains for his house, which makes him feel more civilized. Winter finally arrives, but Hiro is prepared for it, since he's already gathered food that will last him through the season, and he's glad that his hut can handle the snowfall. He starts to feel lonely, since he hasn't talked to anyone for a while, and he's worried he might forget how to speak. When winter finally ends, the puppies head into the forest, and Hiro thinks they've decided to leave their nest since they've already grown up, but they return with their partners after a few days. Zabu also shows up with a bunch of kids, so Hiro thinks he needs to work harder, since he now has more mouths to feed. Zabu suddenly sounds the alarm one day, and the dogs lead Hiro into the forest, where he finds a girl named Lu. She's afraid of his companions, so he calms them down, but as he gets close to help her, she bites his neck and sucks his blood. Her body glows as it suddenly matures, but the dogs attack her, and she once again turns into a little girl. She assures Hiro she isn't an enemy, and explains that she only sucked his blood to regain her strength, because she used up all of her energy, which is why she couldn't maintain her adult form. He feels bad that they beat her up, so he tells her she can drink his blood, but he doesn't feel anything no matter how much she drinks. As her body matures, he notices she's still small compared to earlier, so she explains that he might die if she drinks more, but he tells her to take as much blood as she likes. After that, Hiro takes Lu to his base, where she's amazed to see all the crops he's grown, and he picks out a tomato for her, which she finds delicious. He spends the day showing her around, and at night, she reveals that she came to the forest because she got into a fight with a few nobles, who tried to steal her research on medicinal plants. She thinks no one will come to the forest because of its reputation, but he has no idea what she's talking about, so she realizes he knows nothing about it. He knows he might never run into another person again, so he begs her to stay with him forever, but she reminds him she's a vampire, and notes that people are looking for her. He tells her he doesn't care, and explains that he came to the forest because he wasn't good at dealing with people, but he doesn't know how much longer he can survive living alone. She agrees to live with him, but notes that they just met, so he tells her they can get to know each other as they live together. She thinks he wants her to marry him, so he explains he just wants her to live with him since he's lonely, but she becomes upset and reminds him that he told her to live with him forever. She wonders if she misunderstood it, so he tells her he meant everything he said, and begs her to stay with him again. She tells him to stop, because she already accepted his request, which makes him happy. The next day, Hiro wonders why Lu turns small, so she notes that it's for her own protection, because he won't think about touching her when she's in that state. She asks him if they can grow medicinal herbs, and he thinks they might be able to, so she tells him they need to look for the right seeds, but he tells her they don't need them. Hiro was glad Lu decided to live with him, because she used magic to light the place up, and even told him they're surrounded by salt, so he no longer needs to eat food without flavor. He shows Lu the fruit trees, and mentions that they take longer to grow than the other plants, but she's excited to see how they turn out. Zabu suddenly sounds the alarm, so they rush to check what's going on, and they notice a girl named Tia, who's been trapped by Zabu's webs. She cries for help, so he sets her free, and she uses magic to heal her wounds, but he notices that Lu is trying to get away. Tia recognizes her, and demands that she turn herself in, but the dogs attack Tia for acting hostile. They take her back to the base, and Lu tells her she went through the same thing, because her magic didn't work on the dogs. Tia wonders who Hiro is, so Lu blushes and notes that he's her husband, which shocks Tia. She tells him she's an angel, so he wonders if she serves God, but Lu notes that she's just part of a race of warriors that have more muscle than brain. He wonders why Tia is chasing Lu, so she explains that there's a bounty on Lu's head because she went on a rampage. Lu notes that it's because a noble forced her to make strange medicines, but Tia knows that she spends all her time researching medicine, and when something doesn't go her way, she just blows everything up. Lu admits she went overboard, and tells Hiro she came to the forest to run from Tia, because she knows that Tia is stronger than her. Tia is surprised to hear this, since Lu never used to admit her weakness, and she tells Tia to stay with them as well. Lu shows her around the base to convince her, but when Lu introduces her to Zabu, she freaks out and passes out. Lu takes her to harvest the crops, while Hiro shows her how to pick out a cabbage, and as she eats it, she's surprised by how delicious it is. She spends the day helping them harvest, and at night, she tells them she had fun, so Lu convinces her to stay with them. They work together the next day, and Tia asks Hiro if they can make more strawberries, but he explains that even if they expand the crop field, they can't handle any more work. They come across the new puppies, and as Hiro picks one of them up, he realizes that their family is growing. He knows they won't be able to fit in the hut soon, so he makes a dog area near the field. But he sees that Zabu's children have left to start a new journey, and notices that a few of them are still there, so he plans to make a place for them as well. Tia tells him she needs to leave to take care of something, and as she flies away, Lu assures him she'll be back before they know it. Tia returns with a group of elves, and as they introduce themselves, Hiro is surprised by how similar their names are, so they explain it's because they're related. They note that Tia told them to come with her, and they ask for his permission to stay there, while Tia notes that they all share a tragic backstory. She reveals that their village was wiped out when they were dragged into a war by the humans, and they've been wandering around ever since, because they have nowhere else to go. They explain that they haven't been able to repopulate their race, because they couldn't find a place to call home, so Hiro tells them they can stay there if they get along with everyone else. They wonder who else lives there, so Lu introduces them to Zabu and the dogs, which causes them to pass out. After that, Hiro decides to build a huge house for them to stay in, and they see him cut down a tree in one swing, which makes them think he must be extremely strong. He knows they know more about construction than he does, so he just follows their instructions, and they complete the house in 10 days. Lu and Tia mention that the house is bigger than their hut, which makes Hiro jealous, but he's glad that he was able to learn their techniques. The elves start to get used to their new life, and he sees them eat the raw garlic they just plucked from the field, but he can't believe they're enjoying it. He's surprised that they use fire and eat meat as well, because he thought elves are one with nature and hate flames. One of them, named Leah, laughs as she listens to him, and notes that it's impossible to survive without using fire. He mentions all the stereotypes he heard about elves, but she tells him he underestimates nature, since it's so harsh that it will kill anyone who tries to live that way. She offers to do mining and blacksmithing for him to show their gratitude, so they build a workstation and craft a walk for him. He's amazed by the number of things they can do, and Leah explains that it's the benefit of wandering around for 200 years, but the only thing they can't do is settle down and reproduce. They notice that Hiro has a wheat field, so they ask for his permission to bake bread, and as everyone tastes it, they realize it's delicious. Hiro asks Leah if anyone owns the land they're on, and she reveals that it's under the Demon Lord's control, so he wonders if the Demon Lord will have a problem with his crop fields. But she explains that since nobody helped him build anything, the land now belongs to him. At night, Tia and the others talk about how amazing Hiro is, since he tamed monsters and grew the crops, but they can't understand why he doesn't know much about the world. Zabu shows Hiro a queen bee she caught, and tells him she doesn't want to eat it, so he decides to keep it as his pet. He builds a hut for the bees, and they make a nest in 10 days, so he wonders if he'll be able to get honey from them. After that, Hiro digs a reservoir for the water he plans to get from the river, but he hasn't put any time into it, since he's been busy with other things. Leah asks him what he'll use to make the waterway, so he notes that it's usually made from stone, but she tells him it will be difficult to find stone in the forest. He thinks about using wood instead, but Leah notes that the gaps will cause water to leak, so he uses his farming tool on the dirt, and makes it as hard as concrete. They start to work on the waterway, and Hiro gets the elves to do the basic tasks, while he seals the seams and strengthens the foundation. They manage to fill the reservoir, which also brings in fish from the river, and he thinks they're easy to catch. But a big one suddenly comes in through the waterway, so he cuts it up and cooks it. Lu and Tia aren't sure if it's edible, since it's from the forest of death, and he tells them to eat it, but they want him to take the first bite. He notes that it tastes like salmon, and everyone reluctantly tries it, but they're surprised by how delicious it is. Hiro tells them he plans to make a rice paddy, so he plows the field and fills it with water, but they don't understand what he's doing. He gives them seedlings to plant, and they have a hard time with it at first, but they eventually get the hang of it. The rice plants grow quickly, so the elves harvest them, and they get it done in the blink of an eye. He notes that they need to thresh the crops, so he copies a thresher he saw in a museum, and shows everyone how to use it. He also teaches how to cook the rice, but Lu thinks he's chanting a spell, since they don't understand what he's saying. He tells Lu to use her magic to light a fire, so she thinks it's her chance to show everyone how powerful she is, and prepares to destroy everything, but he tells her he just needs a small flame. He makes rice balls, and everyone finds them delicious, but when he prepares to eat, he notices that the elves have already taken all of them. After that, Hiro sees everyone clean themselves with magic, so he decides to build a bath, and tells everyone about his plan. They think they can just wash themselves in the river, but he explains that they'll freeze during the winter, and notes that taking a bath improves their health. As they work on the bathhouse, Hiro is worried about throwing their wastewater back into the river, so Tia tells him they can use slimes to clean the water, since they eat waste products. He thinks they're dangerous, but she tells him it isn't true, and leaves to find slimes for the bath. Hiro puts the slimes in the wastewater, and as he goes to get firewood for the bath, he notices a mushroom. He recalls that he hasn't eaten mushrooms, since he can't tell if they're poisonous, and he decides to grow the ones he's familiar with, but he forgets about the bath. After the bath is ready, Hiro tells everyone how to use it, but they don't understand what he's saying, so they ask him to show them instead. He removes his clothes and gets in the bath, but he zones out for a bit, because it's been a long time since he took a bath. Everyone suddenly joins him, and they enjoy the experience, but he's embarrassed since he's surrounded by girls. The next day, the dogs bring more elves to Hiro, and Leah reveals that they also lived in the same village, but it's been 200 years since they saw each other. He allows them to live there as well, so Leah notes that they should build a new house for them, and take the chance to improve his house as well. They're excited to work for him, and Leah mentions that they should also start having children, but Hiro wonders how they plan to do that. Kuro notices that Hiro's female companions are increasing in number, and he thinks about how before he met Hiro, he lived alone in the forest. He had never lost a fight to a male, and thought he could do whatever he liked, but everything changed when he lost to a girl. They started to travel together, and he got her pregnant, so he was excited to have a pack, but they got injured when they fought a grappler bear. They had trouble hunting because of their injuries, and eventually arrived at the center of the forest, where even the grappler bear was afraid to come. He was surprised to see Hiro, since he didn't expect to see a weak human in the area, but he sensed limitless power from his farming tool. They thought their lives were over, but Hiro took them instead of killing them, so they decided to serve him as their master. Kuro is worried that Hiro doesn't know about their true nature, and we learn that they're vicious monsters known as Inferno Wolves. But he thinks everything will be fine, and he's just glad that his fate led him to Hiro. Leah shows Hiro and the others the new house, and they're surprised by how big it is, but he already knew it was going to be huge, because Leah had him put in a lot of work. She gives them a tour, and Lu and Tia are excited since they have their own rooms, but Hiro notices a locked door. He opens it, and sees a huge bed for 2 people, but he pretends that he didn't see it. Leah asks him to stay there for the winter, telling him to let them know if he wants to change anything, and he makes a statue of the dogs, which he puts right in front of the house. Lu and Tia ask Hiro what they will have for dinner, so he notes that he'll prepare curry, but he's never cooked it before. They harvest the ingredients for the curry, and he takes them to gather cumin first, telling them it gives the curry its smell. The next thing they harvest is turmeric, which gives the curry its color, but they only need the plant's roots, so he tells them to dry out the part that's sticking out of the ground. As he picks out cilantro from the crops, the dogs smell it and run away, so Lu and Tia realize they can use it against them. Hiro gathers all the ingredients, but he notices that Lu and Tia aren't with him, and Leah is the only one there to help him. They start to prepare the curry, and she likes the way it smells, so she's excited to eat it. Hiro realizes he forgot to make naan, and thinks about making rice instead, but he wants to eat naan with the curry. He knows it's usually made inside a stove, but it can also be prepared in a pot, so he makes enough for everyone to eat. After Lu and Tia arrive, Hiro serves it to everyone, and they think it looks strange, but they all find it delicious. He tells them they don't need to eat it if they don't like it, since it's a unique flavor that isn't for everyone, but they all fill up their bowls again, so he asks them to leave a bit for him. Winter is about to arrive, and Hiro knows they won't be able to leave the house during the season, so he gathers a lot of firewood. He goes to see Zabu and gives her a basket of food, because she hibernates during the winter, and she gives him blankets in return. Lu and Tia preserve meat for the winter, while Hiro works on preserving the vegetables, and he sees Lu use magic. He wishes he could do it as well, and he tries to summon flames, but nothing happens. At night, Lu shows Hiro a low-level spell, but explains that he can't use it if he doesn't study magic, and he notes that everyone makes using magic look easy, so he thought he might be able to do it as well. He mentions how Tia summoned a golem to help her out, but Lu explains that the spell is difficult to use, even for other magic users. He's amazed that Tia can use such a spell, and notes that she can even summon multiple golems at the same time, so Lu reminds him he can do amazing things as well. As it starts to snow, Hiro makes board games to keep them entertained, and he starts with Reversi. He explains the rules to everyone, but Lu wonders how such a simple game can be fun to play, so Tia notes that its simplicity allows for complex strategies to be made. Lu challenges to play her, and she knows she's about to lose, so she flips the board, but Tia uses magic to return all the pieces to their position. Hiro notices Leah playing the game as well, but he sees that Kuro is helping her, and he even plays a game with his partner. Lu challenges Kuro to play with her because she doesn't think she can lose to a dog, but he ends up winning the game, which makes her depressed. After that, Hiro plays mahjong with Kuro and the others, and he thinks Kuro isn't smart enough to understand the rules, so he plans to avenge Lu, but Kuro ends up winning again. Hiro makes a mini bowling game, and they label the pens as criminals, because Lu doesn't understand why they need to knock them down. He manages to bowl a spare, while Lu hits a strike, and he wonders if everyone likes bowling because of how simple it is. After winter ends, Zabu suddenly sounds the alarm, and they notice a wyvern flying toward them. Hiro wonders if it will just pass over them, but it shoots a fireball, so Lu and Tia block it with a barrier. Hiro doesn't know what to do, because he knows that even if they try to run away, it will just follow them, so he has no choice but to fight it. His farming tool suddenly transforms into a spear, and he throws it at the wyvern, which summons a barrier to defend itself. The spear breaks through it and destroys the wyvern's wing, so he recalls it and throws it again, blowing a hole into the wyvern's chest. They check its body, and Hiro wonders if it's common to run into a wyvern, so Tia tells him it's an incredibly rare creature. He wonders if someone sent it to go after them, but they think it isn't the case, because no one would let such a rare creature go off on its own. He wonders if they can eat its meat, and the girls note that it's said to be incredibly delicious, so he cooks it for everyone. Lu asks Tia if she could have blocked his spear, so she notes that she doesn't stand a chance against it, because it was so strong that it broke through the 3-layer barrier of the wyvern. At the Demon Lord's castle, 3 of the 4 generals have a meeting, and one of them, named Beezle, reports that a wyvern was defeated in 2 blows. The other generals think it's impossible, but Beezle tells them not to panic, and notes that it's their duty to remain calm, but one of them resigns from his position. The next day, Hiro thinks about how even though the wyvern's meat was delicious, he still feels like it's missing something important, and he decides to make wine. Everyone gathers the grapes, and he tells everyone to stomp on them, while he changes the barrels when they fill up. Tia slips on the grapes, and she wishes they had a way to maintain rhythm, so the elves start to sing a song from their village. They enjoy the experience, and Tia tells Lu to join them, so she makes Hiro come with her as well. We see God as he watches Hiro, and he's glad that Hiro is happy, but he tells the goddess of agriculture to forgive him for his actions. She reminds him that he mistakenly punished an innocent man, and when he tried to help Hiro, he ended up sending him to the forest of death. On top of that, he also gave Hiro the spear, which is so strong that it could drain his life force in an instant. God explains that Hiro will be fine, since he gave him a perfectly healthy body, but she refuses to listen to his excuses. She's also angry since the statue Hiro built of her is of an old man, and she tells the god to sit for 300 years as punishment. Meanwhile, Zabu sounds the alarm, and Hiro goes to check it out, but he sees that Zabu has captured another girl named Flora, who turns out to be Lu's sister. She notes that when she heard Lu was chased to the forest by the infamous black-hearted angel, she came looking for her, but Tia knows Flora was referring to her. Hiro tells Flora to stay there as long as she likes, but she doesn't understand why he's Lou's husband, so she notes that he's in charge there, and he's also the master of the Inferno Wolves. Flora apologizes for being rude, and he's surprised to learn that Kuro and the others are wolves, but he doesn't understand what Inferno means, so Kuro shoots fire out of his mouth to demonstrate his powers. At night, Hiro treats Flora to dinner, and she's amazed by how good the tofu tastes, so he tells her it's fermented out of soybeans. She writes down everything he tells her in a magic notebook, and she's excited that she's found something to research, telling him she'll make sure everyone tastes his cooking. She returns with her maids after a month, and the head maid Anna tells him to use them any way he sees fit, but he tells her she doesn't need to be so formal. He notices that Flora also brought cows with her, which makes him excited, because he can use their milk to make butter. Tia notices everyone else has a group of their species, but she's the only angel there, so she brings her underlings there as well, along with a chicken for Hiro. After that, the maids take care of all the chores, but they aren't great at cooking, so he teaches them everything he knows, and they prepare a dish out of killer rabbits for him. Hiro checks on the angels that Tia brought, and wonders why they're wearing battle attire, but he realizes that Tia plans to have them act as their security. As he thinks about how much the population has increased, Leah brings even more elves with her, and he wonders why there aren't any males among them. She reveals that none of them survived, but they aren't worried about it, because they plan to repopulate their species. Hiro gathers all the representatives to name the village, and Luz suggests naming it after him, while Anna thinks they should name it after the forest. He doesn't like their ideas, but Zabu points to a door, and as Hiro opens it, he sees the huge tree outside, so he names their town the Great Tree Village. He throws a party to celebrate the occasion, and everyone starts to call him the mayor, so he notes that they will decide that in the future, but they tell him he's the only person suitable for that job. Beazle visits the village, and after he gives a gift to Hiro, he mentions that the Demon Lord wants to talk to him about his settlement. Hiro thinks he will demand taxes for living on his property, and wonders if he should talk with Lu and Tia before doing anything, but he knows he's the mayor, so he needs to step up and take charge. He tells Beazle that if the Demon Lord is willing to accept them on his land, they will pay 10% of their harvest as tax payment. But he wonders if he started too low on the percentage, since Beazle doesn't seem to be happy. He immediately accepts Hiro's proposal and draws up a contract, which mentions that they will pay 10% of the harvest from the fields. But if the Demon Lord is interested in anything else they produce, they will need to trade for it. Hiro sends Beazle back with a gift, and he wonders if he did a good job, so Lu mentions that he was great, since paying taxes means they're under the Demon Lord's protection. Tia is surprised that Beazle accepted the 10% payment. The agreement makes the Demon Lord officially recognize them as residents, and his officials can't correctly measure how much they harvest during the year, so Anna tells Hiro he did an excellent job. Lu checks out the gift Beazle gave Hiro, and realizes it's an almighty medicine that can heal any injury, so she's excited to use it. Meanwhile, Beazle tells the other generals that Hiro and his village are under their protection, which makes them wonder why Hiro would do that, since he's strong enough to take down a wyvern. They think Hiro might have a hidden motive, and Beazle explains that he had no choice but to accept his proposals, because the Vampire Queen and the Angel of Annihilation were with him. On top of that, Hiro had a pack of Inferno Wolves, as well as an army of High Elves, and the group that took him to see Hiro was a trio of killer angels. So he thought that if he didn't accept Hiro's offer, they would have executed him on the spot. He shows them the gift Hiro gave him, and one of them, named Gratz, realizes they're just apples, so he eats one of them. Beazle notices the clothes the apples were wrapped in, and realizes they were made by a great demon spider, and they can't believe it, because demon spiders are so powerful that the previous demon lord couldn't defeat them. The ruler of the dragons, named Drime, visit Hiro with a man named Gucci, and they give him a gift, but he wonders what they're doing there. Gucci notes that Drime's lair is south of their village, and even though they're quite far apart, they still consider him their neighbor, which is why they have come to offer a formal greeting. Hiro wants to invite them inside, but Drime is too huge to fit in his house, so Gucci tells him to transform into his human form. As Drime drinks alcohol, he tells Gucci he wants to stay there, but he reminds Drime that he needs to protect their home. He notes that he can intercept any attackers from there, but Gucci tells him they can't overstay their welcome, so they end up flying back. The next day, Hiro tells Leah and one of the High Elves named Lafa that he plans to build a guest house that can fit 4 people, but they tell him that won't work. They explain that people need to climb mountains and cross the forest to reach their village, so they will usually come in huge numbers, which is why the guest house must be big enough to accommodate 30 people. He also decides to change how they greet people, because the angels usually capture people and bring them to him instead of a proper greeting, and everyone prepares for battle when Zabu sounds the alarm. They make a different bell for when they have visitors, and he plans to greet the guests with Lu and Tia. But Anna and the leader of the lizard men named Daga explain that their enemies might try to sneak in with the visitors, so he adds more people to the welcoming party. He tells Flora to watch the guests who stay there until nightfall, but she offers to watch them the whole time instead, and he realizes she and Lu can go without sleeping for several days. After that, a group of people visits the village, and their representative Garf reveals that they're from another village called Howling, and explains that they have come to build connections. Lu asks him if he has other companions, so he explains that he doesn't, but the dogs catch the ones hiding behind the trees. He apologizes and explains that they got left behind, but she warns them to be on their best behavior, since there are dangerous people in the village. They head to the guest house, and the maids welcome them, but Tia suddenly locks the door. She notes that everyone who has come there has brought gifts, but Garf and the others came empty-handed, so they will be treated with less hospitality. Hiro notices the food being served to them is basic, so Anna explains that it's because they didn't bring any gifts, and she doesn't want to serve them wine, but he makes sure they get at least 2 glasses per person. He feels sorry for them, but Tia tells him to get rid of such emotions, because they need to find out what they're after. Hiro asks Garf about the Howling Village, and he learns that they survive by hunting and mining, but they're in trouble because their relation to the human village they trade with has become unstable. They're looking for someone else to trade with, and Garf mentions that they want to deal with physical objects instead of money, because their village doesn't have any currency. He wants Hiro and the others to come to their village to get the materials, since it was incredibly difficult for them to get there, but Hiro explains that they will face the same issue as well. Garf notes that they know how to navigate the forest better, because they've been living there for a long time, and Hiro accepts his proposal, since he can just have Kuro and the others carry the materials. Hiro asks him what he wants to trade, so he notes that they plan to give objects made from ores in exchange for food, and Hiro accepts the deal. As they prepare to leave, Garf apologizes since they didn't bring a gift, and explains that they don't have that custom. He promises to get them something next time, even though it won't be something fancy since their village is poor, but Hiro tells him it's the thought that counts. After that, Tia and her lizard men decide to go to the Howling Village, and Hiro wants to join them, but Lu notes that they can't just send their leader the first time they visit a new place. It usually takes 10 days to get there, but Drime agrees to carry them in exchange for a barrel of wine, and even though he's been visiting them often, no one minds since he always brings gifts. As Tia and the others return, she mentions that the people of the Howling Village were scared of them at first, but everyone started to gather around them when they offered free samples. Drime is sad because she also gave them his wine, but Hiro tells him he can drink as much as he likes during dinner, which cheers him up. Tia notes that the mayor of the Howling Village wants to send 20 women to live with them, but he thinks their village won't have a future if they have no men, so he agrees to the request if they also send young men. One of the girls from the Howling Village named Senna tells Hiro to use them any way he likes, as long as he doesn't abandon them. He tells them to make themselves at home, and assures them he will never kick them out, but he asks her about the men he requested. She reveals that she brought 3 of them, but he sees that they're just kids, so the elves realize they need to wait for them to grow up. Senna and the others get comfortable with their new home, and as she uses magic to save a kid from falling, Hiro realizes he and the kids are the only ones who can't use magic. The ground suddenly starts to shake, which makes him wonder if it's an earthquake, but one of the angels, Gran Maria, tells him a grappler bear and a viper snake are fighting in the forest. She notes that if they keep fighting, it will affect the village, and she explains that they can't jump in without a plan, but he asks her if the monsters can be eaten. She carries him to the monsters, and she thinks they should get back up before engaging, but he tells her to fly close to them, and he instantly cuts them down. He drags them back to the village, where he cooks the bear in wine, which makes everyone think he's wasting the precious wine they worked hard for, but he assures them it's a normal way of cooking. He fries the snake, and he's surprised that it tastes like fried chicken, but he feels like something is missing. He goes to meet Flora and asks her if she has anything that can eliminate microorganisms, so she gives him a bottle that will do the job. He asks her how the preparation of miso is going, so she notes that she did everything he told her, but still hasn't made progress. The explosions from the process have destroyed her hut 3 times, so he decides to help her, and he gets eggs from the henhouse, which he uses to make mayonnaise first. After that, they start to simmer the soybeans they soaked in water, and he makes the koji mold with his farming tool. They mix the koji with salt and make balls, but Hiro tells her they need to let it age in the cellar for a few months, because it will make the flavor more intense. They're interrupted by Lou, who reveals that a group of dwarves led by a man named Donovan has come to visit them. Hiro goes to meet them, and Donovan asks him to give them alcohol, but Tia and Lou tell Hiro they can't give away their wine for free. Donovan explains that they don't have money, but they have the technology to make alcohol out of their crops, which excites everyone. The dwarves make whiskey out of the crops, and as Hiro takes a sip, he realizes it's stronger than wine. The dwarves stay in the village to work as brewers, and once they have made enough alcohol, Hiro throws a party. Drime joins them as well, and once he gets drunk, he notes that he'll show them their new technique, but Gucci drags him out. Hiro asks Donovan if he likes any of the women in their village, but he notes that they're too young, and they aren't for him if they can't grow a beard. The next day, Hiro notices a dragon on its way to their village, so he prepares to launch his spear at it, but Drime attacks it first. Another dragon arrives at the scene, and Hiro throws his spear, but he misses, so he prepares to attack again, but Gucci stops him since they aren't enemies. They transform into their human form, and Hiro learns they're Drime's wife and daughter, who followed him since he's been sneaking out at night. He assures them he's there on diplomatic business, but his wife Gerlun thinks he's hiding something, so he asks them if they really think he has the courage to have an affair, which puts them at ease. Hiro apologizes for attacking them, but Drime notes that it's their fault, so he makes his wife and daughter apologize to him. After he leaves, Gerlun mentions that she didn't think there was anyone in the world who could overpower them, and she notes that the only reason she's alive is because Zabu saved her from Hiro's spear. We learn that Zabu is her old friend, and she tells her daughter Losty to stay with Hiro since they need to make sure he never turns against them. Hiro has no problem with her living with them, but she keeps breaking things because of her dragon strength, so he doesn't know what work to give her. He notices Kuro hiding behind him, so Tia explains that the animals are afraid of dragons, but notes that in addition to their great power, they also have knowledge and wisdom. Beazle returns to the village, and he meets Losty, who notes that she's in charge of the diplomatic relations. He explains that he's there to ask for oranges, but she tells him they're low on supply, and he accepts anything she gives him. Beazle tells the other generals that Hiro has a dragon with him as well, and they think they should send a spy to his village, but Beazle notes that he has a plan. He tells his daughter Florim to go to the Great Tree Village and warns her to keep her safety in mind, but she assures him she'll be fine. Florim heads to the village, where Losty greets her, and she's surprised that such a powerful dragon is there. She starts to show Florim around, but she needs to leave since a visitor from Howling has arrived, so Florim thinks it's her chance to analyze the village's strength. She's shocked to see the powerful people in the village, and thinks Losty is strong enough to lead such a powerful organization, but she knows she isn't their leader. Hiro runs into her and asks her if she's lost, but she doesn't understand what a human is doing there. She thinks he's weak, so she tells him he doesn't need to worry about her, but Losty tells her he's their mayor, and notes that he's strong enough to defeat her. Florim can't believe it, and realizes she was rude to him, so she starts to help around the village, and she greets him properly when she sees him again. The slime Tia brought starts to multiply, and Hiro doesn't pay much attention to it since it's harmless, but one of them drinks a whole barrel of wine, which annoys everyone. They think they should burn it as punishment, but Florim explains that it can't reflect on its actions since it's a slime, so they should just leave it be, and it starts to join them during feasts and celebrations. Hiro is glad autumn has arrived, because it means they can get more work done, but it makes him hungry. He makes a hot pot for everyone, and wishes they had seafood, so Lou tells Flora to start her research on the sea creatures he mentioned, while Tia wonders if they can even eat crabs. Flora mentions there's a port city in the demonic kingdom, where they might be able to get the creatures Hiro mentioned, so she goes with Losty, and they return with a merchant named Michael. He brings fish with him, but notes that the seaweed Hiro asked for is usually thrown back into the ocean, so he will tell his men to get it for him. He mentions there are 3 reasons he came to their village, explaining that the first one is to properly greet Hiro and thank him for doing business with them. The second reason is to suggest more opportunities for them to trade goods, and the third one is to become the person who manages the trades between them and the outside world. He gives them a list of products his company trades, and as he prepares to leave, he mentions that he'll talk with them about alcohol the next time he visits, but they tell him he can't have it. Hiro hopes they have a good relationship, because he doesn't think Michael has any bad motives, but we see that Michael is afraid of them. In a flashback to 3 days earlier, we see that Losty and the others went to see Michael, and he told his men to take care of them, but he suddenly agrees to meet them, because his merchant intuition tells him he can't ignore that meeting. He's shocked to see Florum and Losty, and he wonders what kind of dangerous products they've come to trade, but they just brought the apples that the whole demonic kingdom is talking about. He agrees to trade with them, so he tells his men to get them whatever they need, and he decides to deliver the product himself, but he can't believe just how many dangerous people the village is filled with. In the present, Michael is glad he survived the meeting, and he knows the deal he made will bring in huge profits, but he doesn't know if his body can handle it. The next day, another dragon named Hakurin comes to the village, and she shoots a fireball into the forest to challenge Hiro. He throws his spear at her, but she dodges it, so he throws it again and hits her, causing her to transform into her human form. He wonders why she attacked them, but Drime suddenly arrives, and reveals that she's his older sister. She explains that it's Drime's fault, because he said he was marrying Losty to Hiro, so she came to see what kind of man he is. Drime assures him he isn't planning anything, explaining that he might have said it when he was drunk, and he notes that Hakurin is just there to vent her anger. She's annoyed that her niece is getting married before her, but Hiro grabs onto her and tells her to clean up the mess she made. After that, Hiro treats Hakurin to dinner, and she's jealous that Drime eats such amazing food every day, while Losty apologizes to Hiro for her behavior. She tells Hiro to play mahjong with her, but she wants to bet something on the game, so they decide to play strip mahjong. He plans to win the game before there's any chaos, because he knows that dragons are competitive, but he can't win a single game, and is now down to his last piece of clothing. He finally gets the right pieces, and he thinks he's about to win, but he loses once again, and he has to take off his pants. Meanwhile, Beazle tells everyone that even more dragons have started to live in the village, but the Demon Lord is more worried about his daughter, because she isn't talking to him. After that, Hakurin decides to stay in the village, and Hiro realizes she's at every job, but she complains about anything she's asked to do. He wants to teach her a lesson, so he makes her dig up holes and fill them back in, which makes her give up, and she decides to become a teacher in the village. A group of Lamia girls arrive at the village, and they beg Hiro to spare them, but he has no idea what's going on. They explain that the younger animals from his village decided to clear a dungeon they found in the forest, which made them leave their home. After discussing what to do with Florum, he decides to trade the gems they've mined for food, and he tells them to wear clothes the next time they visit. After that, the Lamias start to work as delivery girls for the village, and Hiro decides to grow more crops, since they've been trading a lot. At the Demon Lord's castle, a group of girls tell the Princess Yuri that the Great Tree Village plans to use Florum as a hostage, so Yuri decides to attack them. Beazle tells Florum about Yuri's plan, and she's confused because she sent the castle reports of how dangerous the village is, but he reveals that no one believed anything she said. He tried to convince the Demon Lord to stop Yuri, but he's too soft on his daughter, so Florum needs to stop the invasion. She knows that if the wrong people in the village learn about the attack, they will destroy the demonic kingdom, so she thinks she needs to stop the invasion without the village's forces. The next day, Florum orders the Lamia to attack Yuri's army, and the soldiers realize they don't stand a chance, so they immediately surrender. Florum makes the girls who convinced Yuri to attack the village stay there, and she tells Hiro he can dispose of them if they do anything suspicious. She adds that Yuri will stay with them as well, so that she can observe how things work in the village, because she thinks the conditions must be harsh. After he leaves, Florum tells everyone to make sure no one finds out they tried to attack the village, which is why Yuri won't get any special treatment. She shows them around, and Losty introduces herself to Yuri, but the girls think they'll be the country's laughingstock if they stay there. They try to run away, but they're caught by the wolves and Zabu, which makes them realize they can't escape. Florum shows Yuri the Inferno wolves, and she's surprised that she can play with them, because they're supposed to be vicious beasts. Florum asks her why she tried to attack the village, even though she warned them not to get involved, so Yuri notes that it's her fault, since she vanished without saying anything. She heard that Florum was taken hostage, which is why she came to save her, and she's annoyed that Florum is acting like they aren't childhood friends, so she assures Yuri she'll explain everything. At night, Hiro is glad that Yuri and the others have adapted to the village's lifestyle, and he wonders why Lu's height hasn't changed throughout the day, so she explains that her transformation magic isn't working. The next day, Yuri decides to do farm work, which surprises her followers, but she makes them help as well. She prepares to leave the village, and Senna gives her a basket of food made from the wheat they harvested together, but the other girls decide to stay there, since they want to repay everyone's kindness. At the castle, the Demon Lord tells Beezle that Yuri has been acting strange ever since she returned, and Beezle notes that she has matured, but the Demon Lord wonders if she met a man. After a while, everyone harvests their pre-winter crop, but Hiro realizes their crops no longer fit in the storage house. He tells Losty and Hakurin they can give the extra food to their parents, so Losty drops it off at Drime's house, and she also takes the crops to Michael for trading. He tells her about a monster that attacks their trade vessels, so she defeats it and takes its meat back to the village. Hakurin carries the crops to her parents, but on her way back, she finds a group of mountain elves and brings them back to the village. Their leader Yao tells Hiro they live in the mountains, but they've been having trouble finding food, which is why Hakurin brought them there. Yao notes that they will leave if Hiro doesn't want to have them, but he tells them he's just thinking about where they will sleep until he builds a house for them, which makes them happy. Yao mentions that they will at least hunt their own food, but she can't catch anything, and Hiro tells her not to hurt herself. She notices that he's trying to make pottery, but the soil that he has isn't good for it, so she finds better quality soil and makes different items for him. Leah tells Hiro that Yao has found a new dungeon in the forest, and she thinks it must be dangerous, but they send a team to investigate it. At night, as Hiro takes a bath, Florum catches the girls who came with Yuri outside the bathhouse, and they tell Florum they plan to wash his back to get on his good side, but she convinces them not to do it. As the survey team returns, they tell Hiro they found a bloody viper in the dungeon, and they suggest sending an extermination team to get its meat. He wonders if it's important, so Yao notes that it improves the relationship between husband and wife, and it's also said to bless people with children, but he explains that they need to talk to everyone before they make a decision. Lu suddenly gets sick, but she assures everyone she's fine, and notes that she's been craving sour foods. Senna mentions that someone in the Howling Village had the same symptoms, and Hiro wonders what happened to them, so she reveals that they had a baby, which shocks everyone. As Hiro wakes up, he runs into Lu and asks her if she's okay, so she tells him he doesn't need to worry about her. He thinks about how he wakes up at noon, because Anna and the other maids insist on waking up before him, and Anna tells him it's his job to keep an eye on things around the house. She mentions that the wine slime broke in last night, and drank an entire barrel of wine, but they had put that barrel to make sure it doesn't get near the other barrels, so he's glad their plan worked. It's time for breakfast, but everyone can't fit in the dining hall, so they split into 3 groups. He notices that Flora is tired, and she explains it's because she hasn't made any progress in making miso, but he tells her to rest. Gran Maria tells him the killer rabbits tried to break in yesterday, but Kuro and the others caught them, and she doesn't mind them trying to sneak in, because it gives them more meat to eat. He thinks about how the angels are incredibly lazy when they're off duty, and they can't do any chores, but they make up for it by protecting the village. Hiro goes to work on the crops, but he finds pests, so he turns his farming tool into a watering can and showers them with water, which makes them go away. During their break, he thinks about how eating lunch isn't a normal thing in this world, so Leah and the High Elves were hesitant to eat breakfast at first. Senna and the others thought they were about to be kicked out for eating as much as they like, but he thinks they were overreacting, and he wants to make sure they never worry about food. Daga tells him the cow has given birth to calves, which is why he needs more food for them, while Leah and Tia note that the storage house is about to be full, so they should give more of their products to Michael. Hiro goes back to work, and he's glad he has more people to help him, but he's the only one who plants new crops with his farming tool. The villagers also ask him to make all kinds of things, and even though he doesn't have any experience in construction, the farming tool allows him to make anything. After that, he joins the others in battle training, and hears Anna talking about how they need to work hard, since they've been eating a lot after coming to the village. He picks up a sword and tries to train, but he struggles to wield it, so he asks Yao to give him a knife, but he can't use it either. He realizes he isn't good with normal weapons, so he decides to just stick to his spear. At night, Anna presents a new dish to Hiro for dinner, but Lu thinks it's too sweet, so he tells Anna she should only serve dishes she's confident in. She refuses the idea, because she hates to waste food, so he tries the dish, and it tastes horrible, but he acts like it's good. Florum gives him a letter from Yuri, who wants to eat more apples, and she asks him to send her more clothes made by Zabu. After that, Hiro takes a bath, and as he goes to his bedroom, he knows the elves are watching him, so he yells for help, which makes all of them come out. He thinks they just want to keep him safe, so he goes to bed, as he thinks about how happy he is with his new life, and he thanks God for reincarnating him. The next day, Hiro visits the dwarves, and he always thought they were drunkards, but he's surprised by how seriously they take their jobs. He tries a new batch of the alcohol they made, and even though he likes it, Donovan doesn't think it's good, and he tells Hiro they need 3 times the amount of grapes they're harvesting. Senna rushes to get Hiro, because a strange man is bowing to the statues of the gods, but Lou recognizes him as the progenitor of the vampires named Vargrai. Hiro wonders what a progenitor is, so she tells him he's like their grandfather, and he reveals that he's 4,000 years old, saying the secret to living such a long life is to occasionally erase his memories. He apologizes for entering their village without a proper greeting, and he reveals that he planned to look around quietly and leave, but he was drawn in by the statues of the gods. He reveals that he met God when he was born, and he has been trying to create a statue of him ever since, but he's never made anything as amazing as the statue they have. Hiro notes that he can't give it away, which disappoints him, but Hiro makes another statue for him, and he asks Hiro for its price. He refuses to take anything for it, since God isn't something that should be used to make money, so Vargrai promises to pay him another way. Vargrai goes to a temple, where he tells the priest to put the statue in the best place, and the priest is hesitant at first, but he realizes it's a masterpiece, so he agrees to put it in the temple. He thinks they should honor its creator, but Vargrai doesn't want to affect Hiro's peaceful life, so he tells the priest to inform all the other temples that they should respect Hiro in his village. Vargrai sends a piano to the Great Tree Village, and the girls from the demonic kingdom realize it's from a large temple, so they try to play it, but they're afraid they might break it. They ask Hiro to get them an old piano to practice on, so he gets one from Michael, and everyone likes it so much that they play it all the time, but he wishes they would stop at night, since it's making it hard for him to sleep. Hiro tells everyone to take a break, and Lou tells him to relax as well, or else he might collapse. She reveals that the girls have told her to exercise a little, and notes that a few of them have already given birth, which makes him relieved, since he knows nothing about it. At night, Tia and the others ask Lou if she needs anything, so she notes that she's fine, but the only thing hard for her is that she can't drink anymore. The next day, they tell Hiro to sell all the alcohol, because they want to stop drinking it for Lou. He's glad to see how devoted they are, but he explains that alcohol tastes better the more it ages, so if they can control their urges, it will taste even better when they drink it. Donovan asks Hiro if they've done something wrong, because no one is drinking their alcohol, so Hiro tells him what's going on, which puts him at ease. Hiro goes to Lou's room to check on her, because it's almost time for her to give birth, and a flower in her room catches his eye, so she notes that Tia and the angels got it for her. They're interrupted by Yao, who gives her the mountain elf's secret medicine, while Losty gives her a gem that helps with magic recovery. Anna makes a pudding for her, and Flora makes a tomato and tofu miso soup, which she finds delicious. Daga notes that he doesn't know how to help her, since lizard men are born from eggs, so he offers his blood to her, but she doesn't think she can bite through his tough skin. Lou finally goes into labor, so they make preparations, while Hiro goes to the trunk of the tree, where he thinks about how he wanted to live alone during his first night. But he now has everyone with him, which is why he's sure everything will be fine. The next day, Hiro goes to check on Lou, and he's glad to see that everything went smoothly. She tells him to hold his son, and as he picks him up, everyone tells him to be careful. It finally hits him that he's a father, and he wishes his son would never need to face the problems he had in his previous life, so Lou notes that they will raise him to be strong, but Hiro panics as he starts to cry. They name the child Alfred, and Hiro thinks about how much everything has grown, so he wants to reward the villagers. He gathers everyone, and tells them he's planning to implement a new system, where he'll give them reward medals, which they can use to buy anything. He's taking care of distributing everything, but it's becoming more difficult for him, because the village has grown a lot. They ask him why they can't just trade goods, so he explains it's because everyone has different values for things, but it won't be a problem with the new system. He gives everyone 3 reward medals, while he gives 30 of them to Kuros and Zabu's family, so they use the money to buy whatever they like. but it increases the demand for specially made furniture and toys, which makes him work even harder. A kid gives her reward medals to Hiro and asks him to give her a baby, but he explains that he can't do that and plays with the kids for the day. After that, Hiro throws a feast to celebrate the birth of his son, and Lou knows she made everyone wait so long, but he tells her they couldn't throw a party right after she gave birth. He notices she has the wooden hammer that Donovan gave her, and he brings a specially made barrel of wine. Hiro helps her open the barrel, and Donovan wonders how they like the wine, but Lou tells him she can't drink while she's breastfeeding. He suggests keeping a bottle of it so that she can let it age before she drinks it, and she thinks it's a great idea. At the Demon Lord's castle, Basil tells everyone about Alfred's birth, and they realize they don't stand a chance against the villagers. They think they should maintain a good relationship with them, and they consider marrying off a girl from their kingdom, but the Demon Lord tells them he will never send Yuri. We see Michael as he prepares a gift for Hiro, and thinks he should congratulate him properly, since he wants to make sure their relationship lasts for a long time. In the village, Tia and the others tell Hiro there are over 100 people who want to move there, so they think they should make a new village. He explains that it will be a lot of work, but they don't mind it, because they want to make everyone happy. Hiro thinks about how everyone's busier than usual, because a lot of new people are about to come and live with them, so they're working hard to make a new village. Anna serves them lunch, and he's excited to try it since it's a new dish, but Tia thinks they should share it with everyone, so he mentions that he'll give it to them. As he goes to check on everyone, he sees that they're all buried in work, and he tries to give them food, but they tell him they don't have time to eat. Hakurin touches Losty's nose with a feather, which makes her sneeze, and it blows up the documents in front of them. Everyone can't believe what just happened, but Hiro calms them down, and notes that Florum is getting more people to help them. She arrives with girls from the demonic kingdom, and before Hiro leaves, he tells her to give everyone the food he brought after they calm down. Gran Maria reports that she has scouted the area, and she didn't find anything dangerous, while Leah tells Hiro she sent her out, and notes that they should check out the spot for the new village. He wonders if he should pack a meal for the road, but she tells him not to worry about it, since they aren't going too far. She mentions that they will make the new village downstream, but it will be far from the river, so that the villagers can't seize control of it. He doesn't understand what she's talking about, so she notes that she's taking precautions in case there's a rebellion, and tells him they need to be prepared for anything. After that, everyone tries to clear the forest to make a road between the two villages, but they can't even cut down a single tree. Hiro transforms his almighty farming tool into an axe, and cuts down the trees to clear a path to the river, where they build a bridge. He thinks it's too small, but Leah explains that if they make it too wide, monsters will be able to cross the river. Hiro clears the area for the new village, and they build irrigation ducts as well, but Daga tells Hiro to rest while the others do the work for him. Hiro builds a statue of Zabu, and wonders if he should make it bigger, but Lou reminds him he's supposed to be resting. He thinks about how hard he had to work when he was alone, since he didn't even have nails, so he's glad everyone's there to help him. Hiro realizes everything's going smoothly, and Leah asks him if he knows how many people will stay there, but he tells her he has no idea. They're interrupted by Gran Maria, who gives them a message from Drime, which mentions that he's currently bringing the new residents. As Drime arrives, Hiro notes that he should have at least sent a messenger, so he explains that he sent a wyvern, but he ended up getting there first. He introduces the Minotaurs who are about to move there, which surprises Hiro, because he expected them to look like monsters. Their leader Gordon introduces himself to Hiro, and mentions that they've been exiled from their village, so they were wandering around looking for help. Drime notes that they're struggling to support their children, which is why he brought them there as soon as possible, and Hiro tells Anna to prepare food for them. She makes rice porridge, and he wonders if there's something the Minotaurs can eat, but no one knows anything about their kind. A lizard man named Narf mentions that he used to live with Minotaurs, so he talks to them and makes them feel comfortable. After that, Hiro shows the Minotaurs their new home, but they realize the houses are too small for them, so Hiro thinks they need to come up with a solution. Florum tells him Basil is bringing the new residents as well, but they notice he's exhausted when he arrives. He explains that the situation took a sudden turn, which is why he had to use teleportation magic to get everyone to safety, so Hiro tells him to rest. He notices that the new residents are centaurs, but their leader Gruld tells him to stop staring at her. She introduces herself as a relative of a viscount and tells him to make arrangements, but a girl named Letitia explains that everyone's busy at the moment. Gruel tells them to do something about it, but Letitia reminds her that she came there looking for help, so she needs to change her attitude. Gruel becomes angry hearing this, but Letitia reveals that she's the daughter of Count Daura, so Gruel realizes she's nothing compared to her and apologizes for being rude. Letitia asks Hero to let her help them, since they're connected to her family, but he wonders if everything's okay at her home, because the war might create refugees, but she tells him it's nothing to worry about. They take the centaurs to their new home, but the houses are too small for them as well, so they ask the Lamia to let the centaurs stay with them while they think of a solution. After that, a group of girls arrive at the village, so Hero introduces himself, but they don't say anything. The tree stump they're holding starts to talk, and she introduces herself as their representative Igu. We learn that the girls are tree spirits that can turn into plants, and they transform into trees whenever they encounter monsters, but if they're damaged, it takes them a while to turn back. He wonders why Igu turned into a tree stump, so she explains that it allows her to travel easily, and notes that their lands suffered after the humans cut most of the trees. But Michael told them about the village, so they decided to go there. He asks them what they want to eat, but she mentions that Michael showed them the amazing fruits from the village, which means the soil must be good. Hero takes them to an empty field, but they just stand on the soil, and Igu mentions that they only need water, sun, and soil. Hero thinks the houses that they built will finally be put to use, but Igu notes that they need sunny outdoor spaces, so he tells her he'll build huge windows, but she explains that they prefer to live outside. They give the houses to the kid minotaurs, while the centaurs live in the stable, and the tree spirits stay in the fields. Tia notes that they need to prepare food and other necessities for everyone, and Leah isn't too thrilled about it, since it means more work. But Hero tells her they need to design new houses as well, and it makes her excited. The next day, Hero gathers the representatives of the new residents, but Gruel bows in front of him, so he tells her she doesn't need to be that formal, since they will all be living together. Letitia tells him to act high and mighty, so he tells Gruel to raise her head, and notes that he expects great things from her. He appoints Narf to take care of the Minotaurs, while Letitia will attend to the Centaurs, and a girl whom Senna recommended for a higher role named Mamu will help the tree spirits. He decides to build separate villages for the Minotaurs and Centaurs, and he asks Losty and Hakurin to help clear the area so they transform into dragons, but he tells them not to burn the trees. He points in the direction he wants to make a road, so Losty punches a tree to clear a path, but Hakurin refuses to be left behind, so she clears a path as well. She taunts Losty because her kick was stronger, so Losty notes that she wasn't going all out, but Hero stops them since they might destroy the entire forest. They build tall houses for the Minotaurs, and as Hero sees how big the furniture is, it makes him feel like a kid. But he notices their beds are different, so Gordon explains that they're designed to make sure they don't hit their horns. Hero visits the third village, where they have built stable-like homes for the centaurs, and he wonders why they don't have doors. Gruel explains that they will have problems using normal doors, so they will use curtains instead, and we learn that they use sliding doors whenever it rains. Lou wonders why Alfred is in a bad mood, so Anna plays with him and makes him laugh, which makes Lou wonder what she's doing, but Anna tells her it's a secret. They complete the houses after a month, and they're glad everything was finished before winter, but Florum wonders what they will name the villages. Hero wants to just number them for the time being, but she notes that they shouldn't change the names once they're decided, since it's difficult to rewrite documents. Tia thinks they should make Gordon and Gruel the mayors of villages 2 and 3, but the others think they need to make it clear that Hero is above the other mayors, so they consider giving him another title. Iga wonders when they will make a village for her people, but they have no plan for that, which makes her sad. Hero plans to put them at important points because they seem to be comfortable staying put, and he'll have them relay information since they can communicate telepathically. Tia proposes putting them in Village 1 as well, since no one is living there, and everyone would feel bad if all their efforts went to waste. Narf and Letitia tell Hero they have a problem, and reveal that the Minotaurs and Centaurs haven't been able to hunt anything, which surprises him since he thought hunting was easy. He thinks about how the Inferno Wolves always did the hunting for them, but Tia explains that it isn't a problem for them since they're extremely strong. Hero decides to make sure everyone stays away from the woods, and he also wants to put more guards in each village, so he plans to talk to Kuro and Zabu about it. He asks Mamu if the tree spirits have the same problem, so she mentions that they're pretty strong, but they ambush their targets to take them out, which is why they can't fight a lot of enemies. Hiro makes everyone build a field in their village, since he plans to make them self-sustainable without hunting, but nothing grows in the fields. Gordon asks him what season they plant the seeds in, but he has no idea, since the almighty farming tool lets him plant anything he likes, and he's the only one who can use it. He knows the villages must be able to survive without his help, and Gordon mentions that they can use straws to prevent the fields from getting cold, so Hiro praises him for coming up with that idea. He notes that the wheat will sit through the winter, and it will be ready to harvest before summer, so Hiro realizes it takes 6 months to grow wheat. Senna mentions that they've become used to the fields in the Great Tree Village, and Hiro makes a statue of the god of creation and agriculture in the new village, since he wants to thank them for helping him. The centaurs start a delivery service, where they carry goods between villages, and even though they can't hunt anything, they're fast enough to outrun any monster that gets in their way. Gruld notices that Hiro has a horse, and he notes that he always wanted to ride it, but it doesn't listen to him, so she allows him to ride her instead, which makes the horse jealous. The next day, the horse lets Hiro ride it, and Gruld becomes upset when she sees them. They both offer to let him ride them, but they start to fight, so he tells them to stop, and promises to ride both of them every other day. Meanwhile, Mamu asks Igu if there's anything she needs, but she just mentions that the sky is blue. Hiro is glad that everything's going well, and he hopes that each village will eventually be able to support itself, since relying on the farming tool makes him worried about the future. But Lu tells him to relax, since they will deal with it when the time comes. As he thinks about his future, he remembers that they have another problem, since the Great Tree Village hardly has any men. He thinks the problem might have been resolved, since they have a lot of new residents, and he asks Gordon about the men in their village, but Gordon wonders if they'll be sent to battle. Hiro explains the situation to him, but he mentions that minotaurs only marry their kind, and there's also the problem of how big they are compared to everyone else. Hiro asks Gruld the same question, and she mentions that they have 40 men with them, but all of them are young, while the adults have gone off to fight in a war. He wonders if centaurs ever marry other races, so she notes that if he demands one of their women as a price to live there, she would happily offer herself. He assures her he won't ask for that, but she wonders if it's because he doesn't like strong women, so he tells her to calm down. As winter arrives, Hiro wonders if they have prepared enough food, since they have a lot of new mouths to feed. Narf and Letitia report that they're only going through a third of what they estimated, since the minotaurs and centaurs aren't eating enough, and Narf thinks it's because they're used to conserving food. They aren't changing their habits, even though he told them not to worry about food, and Hiro suggests telling them to eat meat and vegetables, so that they won't spoil. He notices something's wrong with Mamu, so she explains that she was excited to be put in charge of the tree spirits, but she's annoyed since they don't mean anything. Narf tells her the minotaurs want the tree spirits to wear clothes when they're in human form, so she notes that they sometimes forget to do it when they turn back, and promises to tell them to be careful. After that, Tia and Lu smell rice, so they wonder if Hiro will cook rice balls, but he plans to make mochi since they have never tried it before. Everyone gathers around to watch him, and he starts to hit the rice with a hammer, but he quickly gets tired. Everyone volunteers to help him, but as Losty gets involved, she turns it into something completely different. They start the process again, but Anna ends up breaking the bucket, while Flora makes an explosive and tells him it won't blow up the house, but Hiro tells her not to use it. They eventually finish the mochi, and everyone finds it delicious, but Flora ends up burning her mouth, since she didn't think it would be so hot. Leah puts herbs on the mochi, and she's glad they like it, since it was difficult to get them. Mochi making becomes a form of exercise during winter, and Gordon excels at it, so he tells them that instead of using force, they should just lift the hammer and let it fall. After that, Gratz arrives in the village, and he proposes to a minotaur named Roanna, but they don't even know each other, so he removes his helmet and introduces himself. Beazle explains that Gratz wanted to come there to check everything out, since their relation with the village is important for the kingdom, but he fell in love with Roanna at first sight. He asks Hiro to tell him the conditions for marrying Roanna, since she told him to get Hiro's permission, so he asks the girls from the demonic kingdom how they ask for someone's hand in marriage. They mention that their parents choose their spouses, but Letitia thinks Gratz's love for Roanna is like a fairy tale, where they must get past Hiro to be together. Hero tells Gratz the only thing that truly matters is how Roanna feels, so they don't have a problem if she's willing to marry him, but he can't use force to convince her to be with him. At night, Gratz tells Beazle and Randon that he's started to exchange letters with Roanna, but he can't get her out of his head. He's worried that another man will steal her while he's away, and he plans to resign from his position so that he can be with her at all times. Beazle and Randon try to calm him down, but he refuses to listen to them, and Randon notes that he'll quit if Gratz resigns. The next day, as Hero prepares to have lunch, he wishes they had seaweed, but they have no idea what he's talking about. He tells them it's found in the sea, and it usually wraps around food, which makes them think it's a monster. They ask Michael for help, and he brings them the seaweed after a few days, but he mentions that people don't eat it, so he isn't sure if he has what Hero is looking for. He shows them how to process it, and Yao thinks it looks like the weed that grows in the forest, wondering if that's why it's called seaweed. He makes Lu and Tia dry it with their magic, but everyone's surprised to see how thin it is, and they wonder how they're supposed to eat it. He applies heat to it, which makes it crisp, and it also makes the seaweed easier to digest. He wraps it around the rice, and everyone finds it delicious, so they try it with fried mochi as well. Michael offers to prepare seaweed for Hero in exchange for mochi, and Hero notes that he'll give him an answer after he talks to everyone else about it. Michael thinks it will make him a lot of money, and he asks them about the alcohol they make from rice, but they don't want to let him try it. At night, Hero decides to make sushi, and Anna asks him why he's fanning the rice, but he has no idea why he's doing it. He plans to make thick sushi rolls, and even though they're usually made with raw fish, he won't add any raw ingredients into it because the people of this world don't like it. He makes salad rolls filled with crab meat as well, and everyone finds it tasty, telling him they weren't expecting it to be so delicious. Winter is about to end, and Hero wonders if they should start to farm again, even though it's still cold, but Iga tells him it's too early. He tells everyone to decorate the village and place explosives to be set off, but they don't understand why anyone would do that, so he explains that he plans to hold a festival for the village. He tells them about all kinds of festivals in his previous life, which confuses them since they find everything strange, so he thinks it's his fault for giving such weird examples. They mention that they have festivals to welcome the new year and a new harvest, and they discuss it with each other, but he has no idea what they're talking about. He plans to let them handle it, but they have different traditions, so he decides to draw lots, and he gets the martial arts competition where the participants must fight each other. Spring finally comes, and Hero notices that everyone's training hard, since they want to do well in the tournament. Hakurin tells Hero she wants to train at home, since she hasn't unleashed her full power ever since she got there, so he realizes she was holding back when she cleared the trees. Losty asks him if she can also train at home, and he's worried that they'll destroy everything if they fight, so he tells them to act as referees. Lu and Tia are excited to fight each other since they're rivals, but Flora doesn't want to use her explosions on people, so she volunteers to be the healer. On the day of the tournament, everyone gathers at the arena, and Yuri tells Hero she came with her father, who introduces himself as the Demon Lord Galgard. Hakurin notes that her father Dosu is also there to watch the tournament, and Hero recognizes him as the Emperor Dragon. Galgard seems to be afraid of him, but Dosu notices him, and Hero notes that he's the leader of the demons. Gran Maria announces the start of the tournament, and Hero tells the participants not to hurt themselves as they prepare to fight. We learn that the fighters in the general division will compete first, and they can win by throwing their opponents out of the ring, or breaking the bands on their heads. Mama fights a girl named Rosalind, and they start to clash, as Hero realizes they're taking the match seriously. Mama lunges at Rosalind, who disarms her and destroys her headband, so Losty announces that she has won the match, but she mentions that she needs medical attention. Flora heals her, and tells everyone they can break each other's bones, but she can't heal them if they lose limbs. A girl summons fireballs to attack Donovan, but it has no effect, and he carries her off the ring, telling her she would need to train for decades to hurt him with her magic. Gruel charges at her opponent, who summons a barrier to protect herself, but Gruel misses and runs out of the ring, so she loses the match. The final match for the general division is between Floram and Senna, and Floram launches her wind strikes, but Senna dodges them and throws her to the ground. She immediately recovers, and continues to attack with her wind magic, but Senna closes the distance. Floram grabs onto her and throws her back, but they both fall out of the ring, so the fight ends in a draw. Hero gives the winners their prize medals, and Florum announces the start of the Warrior Division matches, where the winners will be decided by knockdown or submission. Lamia prepares to fight an Inferno Wolf, but we see that she's nervous since she still remembers how the wolves raided her lair. The wolf summons a firewall, but she jumps over it and restrains the wolf, telling it to surrender. It suddenly glows as it takes on its true form, and she freaks out when she sees it, so she admits defeat. Daga is up against Zabu's kid Makura, who dodges his attacks and restrains him, forcing him to surrender. The next match is between Garf and Yao, and Garf controls the fight with his speed, as Hero realizes that Yao's weapon puts her at a disadvantage, but she charges up her hammer and sends Garf flying. He almost falls out of the ring, and she knows she can't win, so she concedes the fight. Leah prepares to fight Gran Maria, who explains that she isn't using her spear since she has decided to hold back, but Leah activates her invisibility and attacks her from all directions. Gran Maria starts to fly, but she still can't find Leah, who jumps after her and smashes her to the ground. Leah catches her in an arm lock and tells her to give up, but she starts to lift Leah with her brute strength, so Leah activates her trump card. They both get struck by lightning, but neither of them can get back up, so the fight ends in a tie. Tia and Lu both fight angels, and they crush their opponents, so they proceed to the next round. As they prepare for their match, Lu changes into her battle gear, since she wants to fight Tia with everything she's got. They start to fight, but Hero can't understand what's happening, so he takes out his almighty tool. He realizes it allows him to see their movements, since it improves his physical abilities, and Lu uses her magic to push Tia to the ground. She punches her in the face, but Tia hits her back, and they continue to trade blows, as Hero realizes they're having fun. Tia comes out on top, but Lu starts to cry, and notes that Tia is bullying her. Tia proceeds to the final match, but she freaks out when she sees that it's Makura, who immediately restrains her to win the fight. Hero congratulates Makura on winning the Warrior Division, and praises the competitors for putting on a good show, but Hakurin and Losty also want to fight, so he allows them to have a mock battle. Everyone feels a shockwave as they unleash their powers, and their fight creates a massive explosion, which ends up destroying the arena. Hakurin wins the match, and Lu is upset since their battle caused so much damage, but Hero is just glad that everyone enjoyed the festival. Hero picks up a radish, and after Senna cleans it, he takes a bite and tells her it's delicious. She also tastes it, but realizes it's spicy, and Hero tells her it's because she bit the pointy end, which is the spiciest part of the radish. He tells her about the foods they can make with radish, but a group of kids suddenly interrupts him, and tells him there are strange people looking for him. He sees Vargrai and his companion bowing before the statue he made, and Vargrai tells him they haven't met for a while. Hero takes them back to the house, and asks about his companion, so she introduces herself as Fushu, and reveals that she's a Koran priestess. Vargrai reveals that the Koran religion is a mixture of all the religions recognized in this world, and their followers are free to praise their own gods. Lu adds that Vargrai is the leader of Koran, while Fushu is so important that parades are held to celebrate her presence, so Hero thinks they should hold a bigger reception for her. But she tells him it's okay, and asks him to save her son's life. She thinks his village can help her, since it's home to the researcher Flora, who's the leading authority in the study of medicinal herbs. Hero can't believe she's actually famous, so she reveals that students at Magic Academies study her books, and asks Fushu about her son's condition. She realizes his case is difficult, since he has a combination of the worst diseases in the world, but she promises to come up with a cure. Lu helps her with her research, and gives Hero a list of the ingredients they need, and he realizes the first one is a flower that grows on snowy peaks. He orders Tia to find it, and sees that Flora also needs a mushroom that wanders the forest, so he tells the High Elves to look for it. The next ingredient is a dragon's tear, which is said to be extremely rare, but he knows it will be easy for him since he has Losty. Hakurin tickles her until she cries, and Hero collects her tears, but he doesn't know where to get the last ingredient, which is a dark stone from a certain mountain. So Hakurin tells him it's in Drime's lair, and notes that she can get it for him. Leah returns with the High Elves, and tells Hero the wandering mushroom is stronger than they thought, so he thinks it must be OP, but he realizes it's actually tiny. Hero shows Lu and Flora the ingredients, and notes that Michael left a plant for them, but Flora explains that they need to be careful, since it could harm them if they pull it up. Hero thinks it's a mandrake, so he covers his ears as they pull it up, but it doesn't make a noise and releases a foul odor instead. The smell is so powerful that he's forced to leave the room, but Flora assures him it's harmless and notes that he just needs a bath to get rid of the odor. Fushu continues to pray for several days, and Lu and Flora finally complete the cure, but they end up destroying their lab. They give Fushu the cure and assure her it will save her son, so she promises to repay them in the future. She leaves with Vargrai, but Hiro tells Lu and Flora they need to handle the next issue, and we see that the statue is glowing because of all of Fushu's prayers. So he decides to keep it shut, and only plans to open it during times of prayer. After that, we see a couple of girls walking around the farm, and they stop as they see a strange tree. We learn that they're in an area where Hiro experimented with his almighty tool, and he recalls that he just imagined what he wanted to grow while he used it. But he had no idea what the plants looked like, so he was surprised to see how they grew fruits and vegetables. He doesn't remember what he wanted to grow when he planted the tree, and they see a fruit with a nut inside it. He realizes it's a walnut tree, and explains that they need tools to crack the shell, but Tia breaks it with her fingers. Mamu sees another tree, and realizes its fruit has seeds, so she crushes one of them, and Hiro realizes it's an almond. He finally recalls that he was thinking about mixed nuts when he did his experiment, and his friends see a plant with no fruit, so he pulls it up and shows them it has peanuts. He sees colorful fruit on a tree, and he doesn't recognize them, but he takes a closer look and realizes something is sticking out of the bottom. He pulls it out, and after Florum crushes its shell, he realizes it's a cashew nut. Zabu eats the fruit, while Hiro roasts the nuts, and the girls tell him it's delicious. Tia and Hiro test a parachute, but Losty and Hakurin don't know what it is, so he explains that he can use it to survive if he falls off their backs. Tia isn't sure if their parachute can handle his weight, so he thinks they need to make it bigger, but the lion slime suddenly joins them and tells Hiro it wants to go on a test flight. Tia throws it to the sky, and the parachute manages to handle its weight, but it suddenly jumps off. It survives the fall, but everyone wonders why it would do that. We see Yao in the Mountain Elves workshop, where her assistant Hitaro asks her why she made a giant bowl, because they were ordered to make smaller ones. She thinks it's better than a regular bowl since it's bigger, but its shape doesn't hold, and Hitaro tells her to make it smaller. We learn that they grew up together, and Hitaro was supposed to be the leader of the elves, but she let Yao take the position since she thinks she's better suited as an assistant. They've been enjoying their lives in the village ever since they got there, but Hitaro thinks they should prove themselves to Hiro, and she knows that Yao is attracted to him. Hitaro asks Yao about Hiro, so she notes that she respects him, and Hitaro tells her they need to earn his favor, so she realizes she needs to catch his eye. Yao trains to lift heavy boulders, and thinks it's the best way to get Hiro's attention, but Hitaro tells her she doesn't need muscles to attract him. She knows that the other residents are far stronger than her, but thinks she must defeat them to win him over, so Hitaro realizes she doesn't get it, and decides to show her what she means. Yao shows Hiro how strong she has become, but he freaks out and tells her to put the boulder down, so she realizes she can't use strength to attract him. Hitaro tells her they should work on other methods, but she continues to train, since she thinks he likes women with abs. Hitaro tells her to train her lower body instead, and notes that she must do it for her people, but she starts to do push-ups to grow her chest, so Hitaro tells her to stop being a meathead. Hiro's minions capture a group of harpies and angels, and he asks Gran Maria if she knows them, so she explains that she once asked for their help, because her angels couldn't patrol the villages by themselves. The daughter of an angel leader, Kia, tells Hiro to let her go, and notes that they mean him no harm. But he wonders why they charged in aggressively, so she explains that they did it to preserve their people's pride. She scolds Gran Maria for going against their customs, and notes that she didn't go through the trial to claim a husband, so Hiro realizes there's a misunderstanding. Gran Maria explains that angels are a race of women, so they need to marry men from other races to multiply, but the men must first go through a trial to test their worth. She notes that the angels aren't supposed to live with him, since he still hasn't passed the trial, and he thinks they should explain the situation to Kia. But Gran Maria knows she won't believe them, since she's extremely stubborn. He sets her companions free, and explains everything to them, telling them he won't punish them if they agree to serve Gran Maria. The harpies accept his offer, but the angels don't know what to do, and Gran Maria knows that they don't want to betray their future leader. Hiro explains that he'll punish Kia for attacking the village, but he promises not to hurt her if the angels beg for forgiveness, so they apologize for their actions. He welcomes them to the village, but Kia still refuses to apologize to him, so Grandma Maria tells him to take on the trial, since it's the only way they can convince her to stop being hostile. Hiro asks Kia about the trial, so she tells him it comes in 5 parts, and the first one is a test of wealth, where he must give over 700 gold coins to the angels. She thinks his village is so poor that he can't give her anything of value, but he gives her a dark stone, and reveals that he also has crystals. She knows that the stone is already worth 1,000 gold, so she takes it and tells him he has passed the first round. She reveals that the second part is a test of intelligence, and explains that he must beat her in a game where they take stones each turn, and notes that whoever takes the last one loses. He easily defeats her, and she asks for a rematch, but she loses again, since he already knows the secret to winning the game. She explains that the third part is a test of strength, where he must defeat the person she assigns to him, and she thinks he won't pass since his opponent is extremely dangerous. But she notes that it's Lou, and Grandma Maria laughs since she knows it will be easy. Hiro takes Lou to the room, where he beats her at the look and point game, and he notes that he has passed the test. Kia explains that for the fourth part of the trial, he must deal with the impossible gatekeeper dragon, but Drime suddenly peeks through the window. Hiro explains that he's busy, so Drime flies away, and Kia can't believe he passed the test so easily. She notes that for the final test, he must win in heads or tails, and he knows it's a game of pure luck, so he just tosses the coin. He wins the game, but she cheats and tells him he has failed, so Tia steps in and threatens to beat her up if she tries to cheat again. After that, Tia explains that she stayed out of sight because she didn't want to scare Kia. She reveals that Kia is strict about the trials, since her mother simplified the tests to marry a man of low status, and everyone looked down on her because of it. Hiro finally understands why Kia was rude to him, and she apologizes for her actions, so he forgives her and welcomes her as his guest. Kia and her companions spend time with the villagers and help them secure the borders, so Tia is glad they now have more people on Sky Patrol. Grandma Maria tells her they can now stay in the village for as long as they like, since Hiro passed the trial, and they're both glad they can continue to serve him. After that, a dragon appears in the village, but he transforms into his human form and begs Hiro to let him stay there. We learn that he's Hakuren's younger brother Domine, and he notes that he's afraid of something, so Hiro wonders if it's a natural catastrophe. But Domine suddenly senses a dangerous presence, and another dragon appears. She joins them in her human form and introduces herself as his fiancée Kwan, but Hiro wonders why he's afraid of her, since she seems easy to get along with. She starts to talk to him, but he freaks out since she looks intimidating, and Hakuren tells her not to bully him, but she explains that she would never do that. She thinks she's the one being bullied, because he's always avoiding her, and she wonders if he ran off since he has another woman. Hiro tells her he wants to talk to Domine, and they head outside, and Hiro stops him as he tries to escape. He tells Domine to stop running, since he'll never get away from her, and suggests talking to her about the things that put him off. Hiro thinks it's worth a try, but Domine notes that he can't talk to her, so Hiro tells him to write to her, and explains that he shouldn't hold back, since he might be able to change her. Hiro returns to Kwan, and tells her he told Domine to write a letter to her, so that she will know what he wants from his future wife. She notes that she'll give him anything he wants, but Hiro explains it isn't that simple, and tells her to write a letter for him as well. She explains that she needs to borrow a room, since she doesn't want anyone to see what she'll write, and Hiro realizes she's actually a decent person. She notes that she wants Domine to spend time with her, so that she can shower him with love, but he writes that he's afraid of her. They exchange letters and learn about each other's feelings, so they write to each other again, and they finally come to terms. They leave the village together, and Hiro is glad that they finally understand each other, but Hakuren tells him she might write a letter to him, and refuses to tell him what it will be about. Losty and Hakuren return from their expedition, and we learn that they were sent to the northern dungeon, but Hiro realizes they brought vipers back with them. Anna and the other maids cook the vipers, and as everyone eats them, Latha notes that their team saved the giants in the dungeon. She adds that they found a place filled with hot water, and Hiro thinks it must be a hot spring, so he decides to send another expedition immediately. His friends don't understand why he's in a hurry, since they don't need the hot water, so he tells them the benefits of bathing in hot springs, and convinces them to form a team. Lou is surprised that he's also on the team, and wonders why he made Zabu prepare an outfit for him, so he explains that it's because the expedition is special. He notes that they must proceed with caution, but Vargrai suddenly appears, and Hiro allows him to join them. Vargrai teleports everyone to the northern dungeon, and they're impressed by his magic, but they notice a group of strange creatures running away. Losty notes that they're giants, and Hiro tells them he wants to talk to them, but they completely ignore him. He realizes they're running from a viper, but it suddenly gets pulled into the ground, and an earth rat appears out of nowhere. It charges toward Hiro, but Losty and Hakuren send it flying, and the others blast it with their spells. But the ground suddenly shakes, and the wolf senses danger, so it pushes Hiro back. Another earth rat bites the wolf, so he cuts it down with his almighty tool, and rushes to check on the wolf, but it hugs him while it's covered in saliva, so he changes back into his normal clothes. The giants thank him for saving them, and he asks them if there are a lot of earth rats in the area, so they explain that it isn't usually the case. But a part of the dungeon collapsed after his friends killed the vipers, and the rats started to come out of the hole. He realizes his friends caused trouble for the giants, so he apologizes on their behalf, but the giants tell him it's okay, and explain that they don't blame his friends for the mess. He wants to seal the hole, but Tia explains that it's better to just eliminate the threat, and they divide into 2 teams, so that they can clear the hole and find the hot spring at the same time. Hiro's team searches the area, and Leah senses that they're close to the water source, but a giant bear suddenly appears behind them. It creates a shockwave as it screams, but Hiro cuts it down with his almighty tool, and Gran Maria can't believe he defeated it in one hit. They reach the hot spring, but Hiro realizes it looks nothing like he expected, and thinks it's so hot that they can't even touch it. He wonders what's keeping the water hot, since there are no active volcanoes in the area, so Tia tells him it's because of the stones. She burns a stone and tells him to touch it, but he realizes it isn't hot. She explains that it stores heat and slowly releases it, which explains how it can keep the water warm, but Leah wonders what they should do next. Hiro asks Gran Maria if there's cold water nearby, so she notes that she saw a river, and he comes up with an idea. Losty burns everything in the hole, and her team jumps inside, but Flora notes that the ground is extremely hot, so Vargrai tells her not to use her flames again. They start to explore the tunnel, but they stop when they see 2 separate paths, and decide to split up. We return to Hiro, as he connects the hot and cold water sources, and prepares to build the bath, but his friends wonder why he would do that, since they already have an excellent bath in the village. Kia joins them, and Hiro tells her to help them carry lumber across the river, so she uses her magic to get the job done, and the lizard men start building the hot spring. Lou and Flora continue to explore the tunnel, and they think about turning back, since there seems to be no end in sight. But Losty is against it, since she doesn't want to return empty-handed. They see a strange boulder with writing on it, and they realize they can return to the surface, but a group of undead creatures suddenly descends toward them. Losty scorches them with her flames, but she accidentally sets the forest on fire, so Tia helps the sisters get everything under control. After that, Losty apologizes for causing trouble, but Hiro tells everyone he has finished the hot spring, and notes that he's separated the women's bath from the men's. That evening, the girls take a bath together, and they enjoy the experience, so they decide to go there whenever they need to relax. We see the angels in the sauna, where Kia notes she needs to find a worthy husband, since she's their next leader. She thinks Hiro is perfect for her, but she knows it's too late since he's already married, and she considers marrying Alfred when he grows up, but they think she's ridiculous since he's still just a baby. We see the leader of the undead in the tunnels, but Hakuren suddenly kicks its head off, and her companions watch her as she defeats its minions. Its head returns to its body, but she continues to attack it, and it begs her to stop, but she doesn't listen and ends up burning it with her fire. The next day, Vargrai's team heads to the hot spring, and he tells Hiro how Hakuren defeated the undead leader. Hiro asks him about the girl they brought with them, so he reveals that she's the undead leader, and explains that she transformed after Hakuren defeated her. He notes that she lost her memories, and thinks she's no longer a threat, so he decided to take her with them. Hiro asks for her name, so she tells him to call her Urza, but notes that her name is the only thing she remembers. In a flashback, we see Urza as she awakens from her slumber, and she doesn't recall how she ended up as the undead leader, but she receives an order to break the seal on the land. She decides to do it since she has nothing better to do, and summons golems to help her complete her task. They dig a tunnel and reach a black stone, which is one of the cursed objects she's looking for, but she senses more of them, so they continue to explore the area. She finds a cave filled with skeletons, so she raises them as her minions, and they help her dig the tunnel. The earth rats join her cause, which makes her happy since they're excellent diggers, and after they dig for decades, they finally find the second black stone. They start to celebrate, but they suddenly see an explosion, and Hakurin appears out of nowhere to beat them up. She wakes up as a girl, and she can't remember anything, but Vargrai's team shows her the outside world. Back in the present, Hiro decides to let Urza stay in the village until she regains her memories, and Kia notes that her name sounds familiar, since the legendary Hero Queen also goes by that name. Anna thinks Urza needs a bath, so Hiro allows them to use the hot spring, and tells Vargrai to take a bath as well. As Vargrai enjoys the hot spring, he tells Hiro what they found in the tunnel, and thinks the earth rats won't cause trouble since Urza is gone, but he suggests sealing it off for the safety of the giants. Anna watches over Urza as she takes a bath, and Hakurin prepares to join them, but Urza doesn't like her, so she runs off. After that, Kia tells Hiro she needs to return to her kingdom, since she needs to do her duties as the priestess, and she promises to come back when she's done. Hiro and his friends return to the tunnel, and they show him the black stone they found, but he notices it's releasing a dark energy. He realizes he's the only one who can see it, and thinks it looks suspicious, so he hits it with his almighty tool. It returns to the stone, and he tells everyone about it, so Hakurin prepares to destroy it. But Losty stops her, since she knows it's extremely durable, and she thinks they might destroy the tunnel if they try to break it. Hiro notes that he wants to try something, and he carves a statue of God, which purifies the dark energy. Lu wonders what they should do with the statue, so he tells her they'll just bury it, but Vargrai thinks they should protect the god of creation. He helps Hiro make statues of gargoyles that come to life when someone approaches the god's statue, and he thinks there are other black stones in the tunnel, so he suggests purifying them as well. Before he leaves with Lu, he tells Hiro to look after Losty and Hakurin, but Hakurin suddenly takes off, so he wonders what's wrong with her. Losty apologizes for being useless, and notes that she even burned down the forest, but he tells her it's okay, and thinks it's his fault for sending her to such a dangerous place. She tells him not to take the blame, since he didn't do anything wrong, and she reveals that she and Hakurin are upset, because he apologized on their behalf. She notes that they were the ones who destroyed the dungeon, and tells him important people shouldn't apologize so easily, so he accepts her point and thanks her for her help. He talks to Hakurin, and tells her it's difficult to stand in for everyone, since he needs to make sure they aren't causing trouble. She tells him to forget about it, and notes that he gets to call the shots as the leader, so he just thanks her and praises her for everything she's done for him. Vargrai returns to the tunnel with Hiro's friends, and they see another black stone, but he thinks they can find more if they dig even deeper. Flora uses her explosives to clear a path, but they barely make progress, so she considers using a stronger formula. But the others are against it since it could destroy the tunnel, and they decide to do it the hard way. After that, Vargrai tells Hiro about the other black stones that they found, and as he looks at the spots where the team found them, he guesses the locations of the other stones. He realizes his friends are exhausted, so he asks them if they need help, but they don't want to trouble him, and Vargrai notes that they should check the spots marked by Hiro. They dig from the top and encounter problems along the way, but they push themselves to their limits until they finally find the stones they're looking for. Vargrai returns to Hiro, who's glad that they've finally completed their task, but he realizes his friends are in terrible shape, so he thinks he must reward them. Vargrai tells him to carve statues on the stones, but notes that there are other gods besides the creation god, so they should make statues for them as well. Hiro holds a feast for everyone, and thanks his friends for working hard, but Tia notes that she wanted to beat Vargrai up. Gran Maria tells her to just drink it away, and we learn that after Hiro carved the stones into statues of gods, he noticed that the dark energy vanished, so he hopes all is well. Beazle explains that he's been busy lately, but he now has free time, and he reveals that he brought Gratz with him because he wanted to see Roanna. Beazle tells Hiro about the Demon Lord's General Randon, who drinks with Drime, but accidentally spills his drink on him. He immediately apologizes for what happened, but Drime tells him it's okay, and they continue to have a good time. Vargrai notes that he enjoyed the hot spring, and he's glad everyone's having fun, but he asks Hiro about a cat he's never seen before. Hiro reveals that he saw it when he returned to the village, and he has no idea where it came from, but it immediately surrendered to him. He explains that no one knows anything about it, but notes that it seems harmless, and he hopes it stays in the village. We learn that the cat is actually the archfiend, an evil creature sealed by the gods for thousands of years, and it longed to exact revenge on them. It made preparations for its revenge plan and created small cracks in the seal, but Hero carved the statues of the gods, which made the seal even stronger. The archfiend experienced a world of pain, which made it lose consciousness, and it suddenly found itself in the cat's body. It saw Hero and realized it had lost all of its powers, so it surrendered itself to him. The goddess of agriculture asks the god of creation what they should do about the archfiend, and he notes that it will live its years as a cat, but it will soon return to its original form. She reminds him how he accidentally put Hero in the forest of death, but he notes that Hero has achieved a lot thanks to him and tells her to free him from his 300-year punishment. She decides to set him free, so he immediately gets back up, but suddenly falls over from a cramp. She hopes Hero has a good future ahead of him, since he helped them deal with the archfiend, but she realizes his statue of her looks like an old man, so she wants him to fix it. Urza invites Anna to play with her, but she explains that she's busy, and Hakurin offers to play with her instead, but Urza doesn't like her. The maids tell Urza they'll read a story for her, and she asks them to read her favorite story, but Hakurin becomes upset and walks away. We learn that even though Urza lost her memories, she quickly adapted to living in the village and got along with everyone. She plays with Losty and tells her to transform, so she turns into a dragon, and Urza tells her she looks cool. We see Hakurin watching them, and she also turns into a dragon to attract Urza's attention, but Urza completely ignores her. Hakurin goes to sleep, and Hero wonders why Urza doesn't like her, and Anna thinks it's because she beat Urza up. Hero watches Urza make a golem, and she brings it to life, but its body suddenly falls apart. He realizes it isn't strong enough, so he suggests using the soil they use for pottery, and she tries again, but it still doesn't work. He runs out of ideas, but Hakurin shows Urza one of her scales, and she crushes it with her bare hands, telling Urza to mix it with the soil. She goes with her suggestion, and finally manages to make a living golem, so she thanks Hakurin for her help. They start to get along, and watch the golem chop logs for them, but Lou wonders how they made it, so Hero explains that they used Hakurin's powdered scales. She can't believe they used dragon scales, because they're among the most precious materials in this world. But he tells her they fall off whenever Hakurin and Losty transform, so he already has a room full of them. She thinks he should get rid of them, since the world would spiral into chaos if everyone learns about them, but she's glad Hakurin and Urza are having fun. After that, Hero sees the mountain elves testing a catapult, and he wonders what they plan to use it for, but Yao explains that they just want to throw things around. Hitaro thinks they should make it bigger, since it would become more effective as a weapon, and Yao notes that it's perfect for invasions, but Hero tells them he doesn't like violence. He wants them to make a pressure cooker instead, so they come up with a design and give it a try, but they realize that the steam still gets out. They decide to get rid of all the gaps, but the lid pops off, so Yao thinks they need to make it stronger. She shows Hero their new prototype, and notes that the steam will never escape, but the lid starts to break as the pressure builds inside. She hits it with her hammer, but it causes an explosion that launches the lid to the ceiling, and she thinks they can use it to fend off enemy attacks. After that, the mountain elves make a massage chair, and they decide to test it on a pumpkin, but the chair smashes it into pieces. Hitaro reveals that Yao wasn't satisfied with the pressure, so they made it stronger, and Anna thinks they need to adjust its positioning, but Hero doesn't even want to try it since he thinks it would break his bones. He shows Yao a blueprint, and explains that he wants them to make springs that will make beds softer, but they end up making giant springs instead, so he thinks about using them for carriages. The elves buy a carriage from Michael, and they install the springs above the axle, but they're worried that the carriage might break since the springs are too weak. Yao tells them not to worry, since they can make the springs stronger, and they show Hero their finished product. They decide to test if it works, so they raise the carriage and push it down a ramp, and the springs absorb the impact as it hits the ground. But it's launched into the air, and Yao panics as her carriage bounces around. Hitaro reveals that they used powdered dragon scales to make the springs tougher, and Yao thinks they should improve it to make it fly higher. But Hero is against the idea, and they decide to use plate springs instead of coils, which made traveling on carriages smoother. Hero has a meeting with the others, but they can't decide what to do for the next festival, and he tells them to write their ideas so they can draw lots. He gets the sliding contest, but he has no idea what it is, so Florum explains that it's an event where the participants slide down hills and crash into each other during the race. He doesn't like it since it's too dangerous, so he changes the rules to make it a safe contest and helps dig a giant hole to create a sliding course. They complete it after several days, and Florum notes that it looks better than she expected, so she thinks the festival will be a massive success. Everyone gathers for the festival, and Florum welcomes them to the sliding contest, where participants will jump from the ramp, and the one who covers the most distance wins the game. The first contestant is Roanna, and we learn that Hiro told Zabu to make swimsuits for the girls, since he knew they would get wet. She starts to slide, but stops since she didn't gather enough momentum, so she runs before she rides her board again, and manages to get a decent score. During Daga's turn, he slides down and surfs as he lands on water, and everyone's impressed by his board control, which allows him to set a new record. Flora jumps and does an amazing flip, but she falls straight down, so she doesn't get very far. Tia slides and launches into the air, but she flies before she lands, and gets disqualified for breaking the rules. Lou jumps and bounces on the water, and everyone's impressed by her score, but Senna is too embarrassed to slide, since she isn't used to wearing a revealing outfit. Hiro finds her strange, since her swimsuit isn't that different from her usual attire, and everyone cheers her on, which gives her the courage to slide into the water. There are 3 girls who slide together, and they pull off an impressive stunt before falling into the water. They're told that the crowd enjoyed it, but they want the girl Shasi to go next, so she explains that she can't swim, but they force her to do it anyway, so she slides with a floater. But as she hits the water, the lifeguards realize she's in trouble, so they rush to save her. Florum notes that the contest will continue since everything's okay, but Shasi tells her to participate as well, so she gets into position. She uses her wind magic to push herself forward, and she starts to fly, but Hiro notes it's against the rules, so she's also disqualified. Losty goes next, and she dives into the water with incredible force, but Hakura notes that she didn't go far enough at all. Florum prepares to announce the results, but Daga tells her it isn't over yet, because Zabu is ready to slide. She spins as she slides, allowing her to bounce on the water, and she ends up taking the top spot. After that, Hiro sees Alfred standing, but he struggles to stay on his feet, so Hiro carries him, and notes that he's getting heavy. Urza plays with him, but wonders why he can't talk, so Hiro notes that he doesn't know how to speak yet, and everyone wonders what his first word will be. Urza and Flora teach him how to say their names, but Anna tells them to stop, since she thinks he's still too young, but he suddenly says her name, which makes her happy. He also says Zabu's name, so she gives him a new outfit, and everyone gathers around him, since they want him to say their names as well. After that, Fushi returns to the town, and tells Hiro her son has recovered thanks to the medicine they gave her. She notes that she brought youngsters to live with them, since she knows they want new residents, and Hiro is glad they finally have more men in the village. He thanks her for bringing them there, but they're nervous since they don't know what will happen. So he introduces himself as the mayor, and tells them there's no reason to worry. She tells him to look after them, and after she leaves, she thinks about how much effort it took to bring the youngsters to the village. In a flashback to a few days earlier, we see Fushu in her house, where she thinks about how she can repay Hiro for saving her son. She sends him a letter to ask him what he wants, so he mentioned wanting new residents, so she tells her servant to gather interested people. He wonders if he should get slaves or prisoners, because sending people to the Forest of Death is like a death sentence, but she explains that it isn't true, and notes that the village is actually peaceful. She makes an ad to tell everyone she needs people to live in the Forest of Death, but nobody's interested, because the place has a terrible reputation. Her servant tells her to choose from the orphans instead, since he thinks they'll accept the offer if she gives them houses and fields. They gather outside her house, but she wonders why they look nervous, and one of them, named Jack, begs her to let his friends go. She learns that they heard rumors about her, which led them to think she would sacrifice everyone if they refused to join her. But she knows none of them are true, so she wants to punish the people who spread lies about her. She teaches the candidates how to read and write, and thinks they'll be fit to move soon, but she realizes one of them is an illegitimate child of a noble. She strips the noble's family of their titles to avoid future troubles, but she learns that 2 other orphans are also from noble families, so she gets rid of their parents. Jack asks her where they're going, so she reveals that they'll head to a place that will become their new homeland, but she doesn't tell him it's the Forest of Death. Back in the present, Hiro takes the orphans to Village 1, since he knows the houses will fall apart if nobody uses them. Momo promises to look after the orphans, and they try to chop wood, but they can't do it since they're too weak. Hiro realizes they're terrible at manual labor, so he assigns them to write books and documents, and puts their other talents to good use. After that, Hiro holds a welcome party for the orphans, but he realizes they're afraid of the High Elves, since there are rumors that they eat people. Leah explains that it isn't true, and everyone enjoys the food, but Lou walks away with the girl, and tells Hiro they'll be right back. They return after a minute, but he realizes Urza is behind them, and wonders why she's holding a sword. Losty and Hakurin notice a girl staring at them, and they think she must be a dragon maiden, since she seems to know about their true nature. They know the maidens can calm dragons, and they decide to talk to her, but she's afraid of them since she knows they're dragons, so Hiro assures her they won't hurt her. Hiro sees something in the distance, but he's confused since he's never seen anything like it. He tells Grandmaria and Tia about it, so they reveal that it's a flying castle, and explain that they've been keeping an eye on it since it's been moving closer to their village. He wants to get close to it to check it out, but Lou tells him it's dangerous, and a hologram of a demon suddenly appears before them. He introduces himself as Kazudin, the owner of the castle, and threatens to conquer the village, so Hiro throws his divine spear at it. He destroys a part of the castle, and Grandmaria tells him to adjust his aim, but Kazudin suddenly begs for mercy. He reveals that the flying structure is called the Sun Castle, and it was home to the demigods who helped humanity 1,000 years ago, but his ancestors drove them out, and left him with the castle. Hiro wonders why he headed for the village, but he explains that the castle moves automatically, and even gives orders to its residents, so he has no choice but to go along with it. He explains that he just threatened to invade the village since he wanted to look cool, but he asks for forgiveness and ends his transmission. After that, Hiro and his friends discuss what to do with the castle, and he explains that it's too risky to shoot it down, since the monsters inside it could invade the forest. Lou suggests taking control of it, and Tia and Grandmaria offer to investigate it, since they think only angels can control it. Tia reveals that angels were once called demigods, and explains that their ancestors invented the name because they were full of themselves, but she wants to put an end to it since she doesn't like it. Hiro's friends divide into teams to infiltrate the castle, and he sets up a command center after they leave, but he realizes he doesn't need to do much, since he knows they can take care of everything. He sees explosions in the castle, and the kids realize he's bored, so they decide to play with him while he waits for his friends to finish. Tia and Grandmaria return with Kazudin, but they force him to strip and bow before Hiro, who feels sorry for him, so he invites him to eat with them. Kazudin is amazed by their food, and explains that he and his people can't leave the castle because of the monsters, so they eat nothing but dungeon potatoes. Hiro takes pity on them, so he gives Kazudin rice balls, and notes that he can take the entire crate to his people so they can eat well. Hiro asks Tia about the castle, so she explains that it might take time to conquer it, because the situation is complicated. Kazudin notes that it will be easy for her since she's a demigod, but she becomes upset, and tells him to call her an angel instead. The next day, Beazle visits Hiro, and as they enjoy tea together, Hiro wonders if the Sun Castle belongs to the demonic kingdom. Beazle explains that it isn't the case, and notes that they have no record of Kazudin's ancestors, so he knows they aren't from the kingdom. After he leaves, Losty and Hakurin give Hiro the signal to attack, so he throws his divine spear, which destroys the rocks under the castle. Hakurin returns to him and tells him to ride on her back, and as they approach the castle, he realizes the air is different since it's filled with magic. They reach the central castle, and he realizes it looks abandoned, but he notices a man and a girl, and they argue over what to do with the girl's monster. He knows they're just putting on an act, since they waited for him to notice them before they argued, so he tells the girl she can keep the monster as her pet. Kazudin invites him to the throne room, where he realizes a talking crystal is controlling the castle, and Kazudin reveals that he tried to take its place, but it wouldn't accept him as its leader. It notes that it will only follow a demigod, so Hiro tells Tia and Grandmaria to take the throne, but they explain that they can't do it since they're just angels. The crystal realizes they're demigods, and Hiro explains that they want to be called angels, but it continues to call them demigods anyway. They attack it at the same time, and it becomes scared since it's about to crack, so it quickly changes how it addresses them. It asks Kazudin about the person who destroyed the rocks under the castle, and he notes that it was Hiro, so it realizes how dangerous he is. It's afraid of Hiro and his friends, and realizes that Kazudin isn't as scary, so it accepts him as the new ruler. Hiro is glad he can finally control the castle, and the crystal reveals that when dragons gather around a dragon maiden, the castle flies toward them since it's bound by a pact. Hiro wonders if the pact is still in effect, and the crystal tells him it has been fulfilled, so the castle will stop bothering the village. Hiro and his friends look around the castle, and they realize the demons all live in one section, but they don't look healthy because they only eat potatoes. He offers to bring food from the village, but notices a group of dream demons, who feast on the love in other people's dreams, and he decides to stay away from them. Hiro and his friends realize the place used to be a town, but it was destroyed by ancient wars, and he thinks the demons' ancestors used the rocks to plant monster eggs in the castle. But they ended up getting trapped by the same monsters, until Hiro and his friends destroyed them. They see a strange vase, and when Hiro examines it, a secret passage suddenly opens, so they decide to explore it. They find a library, and realize it's connected to the front plaza, but Hiro returns to the vase, since he thinks it has another secret. He turns it sideways, and the floor they're standing on suddenly descends, and it takes them to a secret room. The chief assistant Belle tells him she's been waiting for him, and reveals that she's in charge of the castle's operations. Hiro asks her about the crystal, so she reveals that it's just her substitute, and notes that it's time to fulfill the prophecy. She gives him the Sword of the Sun, and calls him the Great Hero, telling him to use it to strike the Demon Lord's back. He refuses to accept it since he doesn't want to kill the Demon Lord, but she tells him to take it anyway, and reveals that she can't leave the castle unless she gives it to him. She tells him he can do whatever he wants with it, so he decides to take it, and she tells him the fate of the world is now in his hands. But she's just glad she has finally finished her job, and reveals that she's been locked there for over 1,000 years. He buries the sword in the ground, and thinks it makes her sad because it was important to her, but she doesn't care since she hated the job anyway. She gets angry at the crystal because it didn't maintain the castle while she was away, and she wonders why they're low on fuel reserves. The crystal explains that the human king who built the castle passed it on to prodigal nobles, who sold the fuel to pay for their expenses. But it still wasn't enough, so they sold the castle to the angels, who used the supplies for their war. She explains that if they run out of fuel, the castle will crash to the ground, and she thinks nobody will survive since they have no landing gear. Hiro thinks they just need to get more fuel, but she explains that their castle runs on rare jewels called sunstones, and thinks they'll never find them on time, so they should just prepare for the worst. But Lu shows her a stone from the hot springs, and she realizes it's a sunstone. Lu explains that they aren't as rare as they used to be, and Hiro tells Daga and Hakurin to get the stones for the castle. Kazudin also notes that he has talked to the crystal and his people, and they've decided to serve him. Hiro tells his friends Kazudin has agreed to give them the Sun Castle if they promise to take care of his people, but he worries that the castle's real owner might show up and cause trouble. His friends tell him not to worry, since the angels abandoned it a long time ago, and Lu notes that they should fight anyone who claims to own it. He decides to let the Sun Castle join them, and Donovan notes that he wants dungeon potatoes, since he thinks he can make a new drink with them. Hiro appoints Kazudin as the representative of Sun Castle, so he accepts the role, and tells his people they will serve Hiro for the rest of their lives. After that, Hiro checks the damaged parts of the castle, and he decides to fix the houses for the demons, since he knows they're cramped together in a room. He uses his almighty tool to make a field, and decides to plant turnips and potatoes, since they grow faster than other vegetables. Anna boils the dungeon potatoes, and Hiro tries them, but realizes they taste awful, so he adds curry to improve the flavor. Kazudin can't believe how delicious they are, but Hiro thinks he can make them taste better by growing them in the sun, so he decides to plant them in the field. Daga and Hakurin give Belle the sun stones, and she thinks they can now rule the world, since the stones will strengthen the castle's weapons. But the crystal reveals that the prodigal nobles had already sold their weapons, so the angels had to use their castle like a battering ram during the war. After that, Yao and the mountain elves invent a hot air balloon, and she explains that it can take people to the castle. The wine slime is excited to try it, and it starts to fly, but Hiro asks Yao how the pilot can control it. They realize it can only go up and down, which means the pilot can't control its direction, so she thinks about how to solve that problem. Everyone realizes it's time for winter, but we see that it isn't affecting the castle, since it was built to protect its residents from the weather. Hiro shows Kazudin the flower garden he made, and thinks about what else to grow in the castle, but Kazudin shows him the dungeon potatoes, and he realizes the vines grew fast because of the sun. Kazudin thinks they're ready to harvest, but Hiro learns that they can't grow dungeon potatoes in the field, since the vines grow too quickly and steal nutrients from the potatoes. Hiro realizes everything's going well in the castle, so he returns to the village to check on everyone, and Donovan notes that he couldn't make a good drink using the dungeon potatoes. Hiro tastes the one he made, but he doesn't like it, and Anna shows him a dish that she made with the potatoes. She thinks it's a failure, but he slices it into pieces, and realizes it actually tastes good. We learn that the crystal doesn't like staying in place, so the castle circles the village throughout the year, and Hiro uses its direction to track the seasons. He sees the kids enjoying the winter, and realizes his community has grown, but he thinks he's too old to join them. At night, Florum tells Hiro they need to make something that will unite all 4 villages, and the girls suggest building a statue of him in each village, but he doesn't like the idea. He explains that he's just a mayor, but they think he needs a better title, and they come up with ridiculous names for him. But he explains that they don't need to lift his status, and notes that the only thing that matters is that they all live together. As winter finally ends, they all gather for a grand feast, where Hiro shows them their new flag. He explains that it's a symbol that they all live together, and they start to celebrate, but Galgard and Dosu also think Hiro needs a better title. Galgard offers to step down so Hiro can take his place as the Demon Lord, but his friends stop him, and everyone enjoys the fireworks. Lou tells Hiro to let the people call him what they want, but he notes that being mayor is enough for him, and explains that he doesn't really want to be in charge. But he doesn't have a choice since everyone looks up to him, and he's determined to keep doing his best to keep everyone safe. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.